Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things about the galaxy far, far away. I am your host, Jared, the Dark Jedi, Bachman Stubbs, and we are here to talk about the 4th episode of the Acolyte Day. Very excited to talk about this one. There's a lot of really cool character beats that I'm excited to dive into, especially with our guest this week. We will be talking about the shit towards the end. We do want to talk about the episode proper up top before we get into any of that nonsense. We have some nice questions to get to as well, so I'm very excited to jump right in. So I'm not here alone, as you know. I'm joined by the Italian stallion, the one-eyed knight, the Lord Keeper himself, Connor Chiquiti.
Hello, sir. I just noticed the little Pizza Hut thing at the right over your shoulder.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. It came up when I was recording Pro and Noob the other night, where Mitch also pointed it out. I've had this Pizza Hut box on display since the original studio.
Interesting. Because I've never noticed it.
I've only recently adjusted the camera a little bit, and more of the Pizza Hut logo is visible. But I've had this bad boy since we built the original studio, because my dad had it. And I was like, oh, this is like fun, like Darth Vader pizza box that's older than I am. That would be some great set dressing, and it's one of my favorite pieces. But yeah, we are also got Craig Anjin himself, Case and Breon. What's going on, buddy?
What is up? What is up? I don't think I've been here for any of the Acolyte reviews so far. Was I here for episodes 1 and 2? I don't remember if I have.
No, I don't.
My schedule's been all kinds of wonky.
I think it was just me, Connor, and Kelly Knox.
Yeah, I'm digging it so far. I am not with the hate, but we'll get into that later.
The hate is silly. The hate is silly.
The hate is really silly. But anyway, I'm enjoying the Acolyte so far. I'm excited to talk about Day with all y'all. Yeah, good to be back.
Absolutely. Well, as I alluded to, and as you probably saw in the title and the thumbnail, we have a guest, friend of the show, dear friend of mine, fellow ionized bastard, host of Ahch-To Radio, co-host of Anytime with Ken Alden, current host for this season of House of the Dragon over at Casterly Talk, and the undisputed singles epic confrontations champion of the world, Alden Diaz.
You know, it sounds extra sweet when you say it. Arguably even better than when I say it. I will allow for one special peek behind the curtain that you can see all the way at the top of that shelf is the title belt standing.
Let me full screen you because I can't.
Beautiful.
Standing above the rest of the room.
Oh, that's
there is the title
pretty
belt.
cool.
But yeah, thank you for having me here. Indeed, I'm here to say that all haters of this show, you know, just need therapy. We'll start it there, but we'll talk more about that later. And yeah, so my favorite part was the 4th time that Kendrick performed it when he brought out the.
I have watched.
I can't.
There's a specific moment that I think is going to forever live in my mind. In the first time that Kendrick did Not Like Us in that concert. Because here's my thing. I didn't know it was being streamed on Amazon.
It was not well advertised, that's for sure.
I did not know. And I'm making a point of it to watch it this weekend. I'm so excited to. Taylor and I were getting caught up on House of the Dragon last night when I'm like, all of these clips are going viral. And then I just happened to notice, I'm like, this one's professionally fucking shot. And then realized it was being streamed on Amazon. But the first time he did Not Like Us, there was this incredible little moment where it's right after A minor. where he goes into like a Matrix bullet time kind of vibey thing.
It's amazing.
Takes the music out and
Yeah.
is just like, you think we're gonna let them disrespect our West Coast legends? And like does this whole mini rant, and then he goes, start it over. And then like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this man is
This is about
unparalleled.
a rapper, Kendrick Lamar, by the way, for everybody that doesn't know. I was going to make one joke, but I made my joke, and I should have known that I was going to set Jared off on a hyperfixation without much context. So that's on me. I own that.
I kept seeing tweets about it from like mutuals of mine, just like how like apparently he united all of the West Coast, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but like,
Connor, I will happily explain this to you off camera.
No, don't do it, because like I've listened to some of Kendrick's music, and I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. I've listened to like 1 or 2 Drake songs, and I'm like, I can't vibe with this guy.
Well, there it is. It's settled. Even
there are some old Drake bangers.
I can't. I should not be the.
No, but like it's like, you know, kicking a dead horse at this point and like double tapping a zombie, because he had already won, and now he did a victory lap last night, and now he's got the Chiquiti vote, which is just added insult. So
just dancing on the Scott's
I'm a
grave.
fucking white guy, man. Like,
well,
I got no voice in this matter.
Before
this
we
is the perfect panel to be discussing this.
Truly. Before we jump in to the episode and do the obvious Sunday's Bloody Mary thing, I made a promise last year that if we crossed 500 subscribers, I would add something to the Nerd Academy TeePublic. And I could not for the life of me figure out how exactly I wanted to go about doing this. And then I got the idea. And then I saw a shirt similar to it where the theme was Rick McCallum. That I was like, I'm definitely on the right train, or I'm certainly on the right track here. As I was making it. So I would like to publicly announce, I haven't posted about it, it's been on the TeePublic since last night. Our vintage Cookie Cup t-shirt is now live on the Nerd Academy podcast student store in all of its cursed fucking glory.
And it's only $16.
And it's only $16. So get on over to the nerdacademypodcast.com. Click on the student store link and get your hands on this delightfully cursed and shoddily made Cookie Cup t-shirt. Spencer texted me that he already bought one in T-Nat Blue, which
incredible.
Which the phrasing of that made me happy. So get on over there. You can get it on anything you like. You can get it on a hoodie, on a tank top, on a t-shirt, on a baseball tee. You can get a pillow with it on there.
You get a pillow?
You can get a pillow, baby.
Oh, the pillow's a good option.
God. That's a very good option. Holy crap.
Alden, how will you be styling your Cookie Cup vintage tee?
I will be putting it on the end of a broomstick and waving it around at my next protest, and possibly on fire. But you will still get those dollars.
There is an old piece of art we have that is somewhere in my podcast accoutrement for when we finished this studio. That is a picture of Cookie Cup that just simply says defund the police, which might be one of the funniest pieces I own. And then obviously, as we said before, if the discourse is getting you down and you like to escape the troubles at the bottom of a bottle, no place better to do it than with Sunday's Bloody Mary, the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy, with their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. And if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, you can get your hands on their equally award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus to throw some really fun flavor and style into that Bloody Mary. You guys have heard me say more times than I could count that as a former bartender, I make a mean Bloody Mary from scratch, and the only Bloody Mary mix I will ever use that is somehow even better than my own is Sunday. So use the link in the description below and use the code TEENAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Alden.
Yeah.
A-Money, as they call you in the streets.
Streets of where? Fucking Sesame Street?
Yes.
What streets are you referring to?
It's got to be Sesame Street. There's no other good streets in this world.
The board, like the street right by the boardwalk at Rocket Power. Like,
oh my god,
Rocket Power. That's a good deep cut.
Woogity,
what
woogity,
a
woogity,
throwback.
The same
there are
block
people
Arnold's
watching
from.
this that are like, I don't know what that is, and that deeply hurts.
Yes,
That hurts me too. I need to rewatch Rocket Power, man. Damn,
Good stuff.
There is an Uncle Tito Roosevelt.
No,
I've considered it many times.
I'm
pretty
surprised
sure
that
it's sitting in
Jared
my cart in the
worked
end.
that out, like his life depended on it. See how Kaysen said it calmly, like he just waited for his turn and just said it like a normal thought, instead of being like yells the exact name of the shirt. Jared says the name of the shirts like they're Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I'm pretty sure the shirt is just called the Uncle Tito.
I noticed that the other day with Jerry, where you were like,
Says it like they're Pokemon cards.
I'm talking like we're off air right now, and I apologize.
You are.
Everybody,
You
but like,
are. No, it's funny though.
Jerry
It's
was.
very true.
Jerry's like going to an interview, and Jerry was like, "Oh yeah, you should rock and put like the exact shirt name instead of just saying that one or like whatever." And it was very.
Tale of Two Jedi.
Anyway, you were about to ask me something.
How are like initial reactions and thoughts coming out of this episode?
This episode's really good. I mean, like, yeah, like realistically, as a person who loves stories and loves television and everything, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have that moment of like, oh, it's short because you're subtracting the credits time in your mind. No, I would note not that much shorter than episode 2, which was I think 38, and this was what 34. It's like some small difference. So, but then you start to like be a normal person and start to think about how many great Mandos we've had at that length and how many great Bad Batches there were at that length. And so it's like, okay, whatever. Getting over that hump of just like mental resistance, actually engaging with the episode, really, really enjoyed it. I think I'm that meme right now of like, I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game, like with Leslie, not in terms of her being a great writer, but like when we were in London and she said my original pitch to Kathy was Frozen meets Kill Bill, I think everybody was like, surely she just means like, I like Tarantino went to martial arts. No, she meant it really literally. Like she meant it really literally. Nonlinear storytelling, a literal list of people that are being offed, making good on that list. It's not like they managed to, spoiler alert, it's not like they managed to save Kalnaka. Like we are going all the way with that comparison. And I thought that the tension was really cool. I think a lot of people, and because of course, as we'll talk about, there's the category of people that like have legitimate, like, I'm not sure about that, and that's great, and we should always respect that. There are also fuckholes, and we'll talk about them later. But the people that are like I had someone, I'll shout her out. I had Lauren Romo from the Galactic Podcast. She texted me and was like, I'm not sure how I feel about May pivoting, on her way to Kelnaka's. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. And that's an interesting topic that I'm sure we'll discuss. And I get why people maybe think it's abrupt, and it is, but I also think that might be the point. Other than that, I love the performances. I loved the further exploration of the Jedi. I loved seeing a proper Jedi questing party, which we have not seen in live action. We've seen it plenty in Clone Wars. We've read about it. Like, we know that the Jedi that arrive on Geonosis did that they moved as a group and then snuck in and took their positions before May said this party's over. But we don't get to see that. That's not relevant for the cinema of it. So, why would George show that? It just slows down the movie. But for television, it's like, yeah, I want to see them.
He probably would. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's true. But George might. Yeah, that probably would be something George is like, oh, so then we're gonna do 20 minutes of them sneaking in.
I was gonna say it is a little bit more action packed, but lest we forget that there is a deleted scene that adds like a crisp 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
to the Petronaki fight of just Plo Koon and Coyote Mundi. Put a pin in that. Fucking shit up on a Lucre Hulk.
So all that really enjoyed. I think Basil's great. I think Amanda Stenberg continues to be awesome. I love the stuff with Soul. My favorite stuff in the episode is Jecki and Osha just talking, because I forget who pointed it out. It might have been you, Jared. That was like, out in live action, we've never had the, hey, we were trained by the same person, and isn't that funny? Like, that's never happen. It's always very disparate, or like Obi-Wan and like the generations and the families very rarely meet, either generationally or like Rael and Qui-Gon, but that's in books, so you don't really get that. So I'm very positive on the show. I really like the show. And when I cash my shill checks, sometimes I ask myself, like, what am I going to do with this money that I'm clearly rolling in? That's why I'm wearing a beanie that I've had since 2016 and an ILM shirt. I guess this actually doesn't help my case.
I was about to say, Alden, you may not want to call attention to the ILM.
This was sent to me by Disney Lucasfilm in a special box.
Was it sent to you by Swagman, though?
No, this was back when we were acting like adults. So no, it was not sent to me by Swagman. But yeah.
This is back.
I'll just keep rambling. So
no,
this is back when we dusted ourselves off. All right. Picked ourselves up by our bootstraps to wear our visual effects company merchandise.
Right.
Well, I agree with a lot of that. I think that we'll get into it more. I really love the May pivot.
I like it too.
I think I'm like really into it, and a lot of what it represents, and we'll unpack that more as we go. Absolutely love the Jackie and Osha stuff. They have such a beautiful interplay, and there are so many moments where almost every time Jackie Lon has opened her mouth and has spoken, that I, under my breath, am like, gosh, she's gonna be such a good fucking Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time, like she has that X factor that separates like Qui-Gon Jinn and Rey and Cal Kestis and Obi-Wan Kenobi from like fucking Eve Koth, where there's just like they just have like an it that you can't define, but where you can tell like they get it. Even a youngin like Jackie gets it. And God, I'm so afraid to see her heart get broken in some way.
And she's also that. And she's also like, again, a lot of this is for live action, but we have to come at it from the perspective always of like, we know a lot more, but it's also made to be accessible, even if this is your first one. And that's interesting to me. I would love to meet somebody who doesn't try Star Wars until this. That would be fascinating. But it's unique in terms of like Padawans, because most people are either the story of a Padawan is I'm full of spunk and I'm brand new, or it's I'm this close to being a knight. And I get the feeling with Jackie as she's about halfway to the trials. Like she's probably, she's been at this. And if, because Obi-Wan was 25 when he took the trials, or would have.
When the trials took him.
Basically, yeah. He is that Nina Turner quote where she said, like, people that say I don't do politics. She's like, well, politics are going to do you. That's what happened to. That's what happened to Obi-Wan. Yeah. But I think Jackie's 18 is what the streets are saying, because people that take this way too seriously were upset.
The ones that call you A Money.
The very same. Bert, Ernie, all of them were telling me that she's 18. The count actually told me she's 18.
The count.
But
from what I understand, the number of the day yesterday was 6, according to Kendrick Lamar.
Indeed. So I value her perspective, and I'm with you that I think she does have that X factor. We know just based on a teeny tiny TV spot clip that she absolutely has that dog in her, because she's about to step up and fight a Sith with 2 lightsabers, one of which is Kalnaka's. If you pay attention. But
yeah, I remember you brought that up, and I remember saying that like, oh, Jackie's dual wielding. And I truly just thought that maybe she had like a twin saber thing going on. Yeah. And then you brought up that it has like the little emitter window. That clearly makes it Kalnaka's. And now we know how she got it. But
loving her.
Which is phenomenal. Kason, you haven't gotten to talk Acolyte, so I'm just going to give you the floor to kind of take us through how you're feeling up to now.
All right. Well, I did what I normally do, which is not really look into everything super heavy before it comes out, because I feel like that's a smart play. To be honest, like if you just want to follow with the updates, cool, but like don't read too deep into stuff before stuff comes out. You got to watch it first. Saw the first 2 episodes in theater with Jared. It was pretty good. It was a very cool experience to get to see it like a day before it actually came out. I'm really digging the mystery part of Star Wars because like it kind of gives me similar vibes to the Clone Wars arc where Ahsoka gets accused of trying to bomb the temple, which is a great arc, I think, and I think a lot of people also enjoy. Because the murder mystery thing gives me like similar vibes to that. I'm also very intrigued, as I said yesterday on Twitter, to find out who Darth Shit-Eating Grin is. And as I said today on Twitter, what the hell happened to Torben? I'm assuming it happens like we're about to see whatever happened.
Yeah.
I feel like next episode, that's what it's coming to.
Torben's going through it, man. I remember everybody looking at that one shot of everybody back on the, as Ken Napsok put it, the Jedi camper that was on Brendok. That when they're back in space, or I think they're back in hyperspace, that you can, that everyone's like watching like the fucking Zapruder film to see if Torben's eye is fucked up on that, and it is like you can see there's like red marks, and like he's
right.
Like he took that licking on Brendok. That is not the times have been hard to Torben and whatever.
Right.
Like, that is someone domed him, and I am still convinced that Mother Coral gave him that pretty shiner he takes with him to the grave, because that staff she has, I cannot imagine getting hit with that thing and it ever fully
She
healing.
don't mess around.
I do not imagine you can take a lick from that and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go to bed now, and not like need immediate medical face fucked up attention.
If anybody needs to volunteer to test what it would be like to get whacked in the face by Mother Coral, I will take that bullet. If somebody needs to.
You're very brave, Alden.
Thank you.
Never took you for a Zabrak kind of guy.
You know, it's like, I don't know if it's just context, because because like I don't know, it's weird. Like my ex thought Darth Maul was super hot, so maybe it just depends on the vibe and the individual character. Because there are also like
she's a milfy witch. Like that is very much up your alley.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but I guess if you want to be reductive, I could let certain people know that you said that, and then maybe you could have a stern talking to. But yeah, it's it entirely depends, because it's like there are some species where I look at a character and I'm like, ew, but then I see the same species as a different character and I'm like, oh, I get it. So it just it all depends. It all depends.
That's fair.
It's fucking hilarious.
And also, not all of them are consistent, because it's like Twi'lek women are coded as like some of the most beautiful and desirable creatures in the world, and then Twi'lek men are like they range from Bib to Ornfrita. There's not Cham Syndulla might be the only handsome Twi'lek man.
There was that one bartender in Book of Boba Fett.
That's true. Yeah,
but they're trying. There's also the hilarious angle of that beautiful male Twi'lek accidentally being coded as trans because of the ear humps.
Yes.
Which is also just such a fun wrinkle. Which every time I think about that, it just makes me laugh that we stumbled into some great trans representation. Just fell ass fucking backwards into it. But as you were saying, Casey, it's
a big galaxy out there. There's got to be something for everyone to fuck.
That's what Gambino said about Pando Calrissian.
Yes.
How are you in space and not some kind of queer?
Right.
Yeah, that all you got so far, Cray?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm enjoying the ride so far. I'm enjoying the little twists and turns and everything we've been on. Excited for the big twist turn that's about to come. I'm enjoying it.
I am too. I had a moment at the end of this episode. We'll talk about that. Connor, where are you at right now, bud?
I thought it was pretty good. Again, biggest sort of thing I really look forward to with this show is seeing the gradual decline of the Jedi into sort of this like quote unquote quasi-military and the puppetry that they become by the time of Phantom Menace and the prequels. And so seeing that early on in the episode where we see like a very, very regimented training class led by the ginger guy. I think he has a name actually now. I just can't remember it. Led by him. Where he's telling them like, you gotta do this, don't do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, yep, there it is. There it is.
Master Lakshay. One word, Lakshay.
Lakshay. Okay. Cool.
Yes, Jedi Master Nick Lachey. I like it.
I was going to say Jedi Master Lockjaw.
No, see, that was better. That was better than mine.
I'm going to text.
So, and just also, again, we'll get into it, but the whole thing about how, like, the Jedi a Jedi Council, quote unquote. I don't know what an intermediate council, I guess.
Alden, you had a really good Game of Thrones reference for that. I can't remember exactly how you phrased it. Like the middle.
I've originally called them the small council.
The small council, verbally. Yeah, that's it.
But then, I tweeted and called them the middle management council. But
that's what it was.
My phone right now because there actually is. It's been a weird week for people being like, well, in this book, but in Star Wars Super Graphic, a visual guide to a galaxy far, far away, which is a canon resource of this era.
It's not a trading card. It's not a fucking trading card
from 2002 or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So as we all know, we've all seen the temple on Coruscant. It's big ass spire in the middle. A lot of people think that's where they meet. That's not where they meet.
Nope.
That is just a spire.
Very funny.
And so
still
there
blows
are
my mind, man.
4 towers. They have defined what the other 3 are. And they are the Council of Reassignment, organized for Jedi younglings who are not chosen to elevate to the rank of Padawan. So if Padawaning and being an apprentice is not for you, the Council of Reassignment steps in, holds jurisdiction over the Jedi Service Corps. So, go work in agriculture, engineering, all that stuff. That they handle that. There's the council, and I don't think that's this. But this could be one of these 2, which I think is interesting. The Council of First Knowledge. The role of the Council of First Knowledge was to procure advice on matters requiring ancient Jedi wisdom. They convene in the Tower of First Knowledge, because of course they do. The Council oversaw the curriculum of the temple and the Order's repository of knowledge, the Jedi Archives. Could be that, because obviously investigation.
There's an intelligence element
like
here.
Is this a splinter order? Like that feels like the kind of conversation they would have. But there's also the Council of Reconciliation convened in the Tower of Reconciliation. And was charged with attempting to settle interplanetary disputes. It worked with the Galactic Senate and the Republic Diplomatic Corps to achieve this end. So I could see arguments for this being either of those if they ever wanted to have fun and say that this is indeed the first live action appearance of one of the other 3 towers. Meanwhile, the High Council is presumably getting actually high because not a single one of them can be bothered to even zoom to Microsoft Teams into this conversation, which I guess is good. That's the thing is that like there's a lot of like, well, why are they doing it this way? That like actually is good. It's good that they at this level have trust at this point in the timeline, have trust for their subordinates to handle things without micromanagement, because that is not the case later.
No, it is a good sign that they're like, yeah, Vernestra, whichever one you're in charge of, just do your thing. If things get out of hand, let us know. Yeah. Which they're not doing. When we did our little like live stream talk back after the episode aired, this was a big point of contention for the stream. Like we spent most of the stream talking about the implications here, about that. Again, we have like Vernestra's granted, Vernestra doesn't say it, or she starts to say it, and Sol kind of finishes her sentence. And we have her say it here again, that you have Vern like take this stance of, if we tell the High Council, they are obligated to tell the Senate.
Yep.
And it's a bad look.
Yeah.
Jedi public relations take a dive if we openly admit there is somebody who, as Vernestra thinks, is being trained by a rogue Jedi who is already offed 3, who is tied to what could also be a PR nightmare for the Jedi. Because again, we don't know what happened on Brendok, but it can't be fucking good. It can't.
And this
be
also
good.
feels like, I mean, we get the first shades of it in the High Republic books of like the New Republic Defense Fleet, and okay, we have to, whether we like it or not, we have to have a relationship with the government, even if it's just handshake friendly agreements, because, well, look what's happening, and whatever, and that's the point. But you get the idea that it is now annoyingly so, because you look at the first episode of Acolyte, where Sol's like, they mention political opponents. It's like more than ever, you get the idea that Jedi have to be like, ugh, and then Representative, what's his fucking name? Twisted my words when I was just trying to like. This seems new to them.
Tia Toon's great grandson, who is also in
Yeah.
the Senate.
Yeah, it seems new to them to have to worry about lobbyists and everything, because the High Republic extent is like, yeah, these space Vikings just carved out part of the map. It stands to reason we would want to talk about this with you, government.
Yeah.
Now it feels like, oh, I wore a tan robe, and Fox News went and ran a whole story about it. So it's like, that feels like we're at that level where the last of the pure days are waning, and
yeah.
Vern's perfect for that, because she was everything great about her heyday. Prodigy, best master ever, present for everything, right at the cusp of womanhood, right at the cusp of adulthood, right at the thinking about who would come after her, being a young master, all these things that she is. And now she's 117 roughly, and she's Grandma Vern, and she's known people like Sol since he was a child, and is like, I don't want to have to do this bureaucracy stuff, that if I can avoid it, because I've been through everything that I've been through. And as the show's so good at doing, it can make a point and make a counterpoint at the same time, and not feel like it's both sidesing. It's just saying your good intentions have ripple effects that might not be great, and that's the case with everything, like that's the story of Jar Jar Binks. Once you get through all the grown-ass men still making jokes in 2024, he gives those emergency powers because he's afraid, and he thinks it's right, and because he's just trying to be like his friend Padme and think, what would she do?
Yeah.
A lot of Star Wars
whose life is on the line, who will die if we do not send an army to rescue her. Padme Amidala dies in the Petrovaki arena.
And so, yeah, everything, the Jedi, we're not talking about episode 3, but I'm sure you covered it, as we all did in various places. Like, both the Jedi and the witches are just trying to determine what's the best for the future. Just so happens that their ideas of what's best for the future clash. That's not saying, the police and the protesters are bad. Relax, Twitter. It's not that. And I think in this, it's not Vern, wanting to cause secrecy. She's trying to avoid the politicizing of what they do, but in turn will accidentally cause more politicizing of what they do.
Yeah.
But characters make suboptimal decisions, and that's why they're, as Holden says in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, fictional characters. So
I love the whole thing too.
No,
I absolutely agree with you. Like, again, and I've said that, like, Vernestra, I'm disappointed in you.
So say what you actually said. Say what you actually said.
I call Vernestra Rowe a libertarian because she clearly is
I'm clipping it out. No context. It'll be on Twitter.
Anti-government to a comical degree. And then I said, wait a minute, no. She's dealing. She is running all these shady dealings in back rooms with people who know better and know that trying to do all this cloak and dagger bullshit is morally wrong. So she's not a libertarian. She's Dick fucking Cheney, is what I said.
Horrendous. Horrendous.
Good thing she didn't go on the hunting trip, I guess.
Mind you, as two of Jared's closest associates, I defer to both of you. Now you know Jared as well as I do, if not better. If she had been like, yeah, let's tell the Senate right now, would Jared not have been like, see, she's doing what Yoda does. See,
Probably.
she's doing.
Probably.
So she can't.
That is not true. That is not true. I think there was an obligation to tell the Jedi High Council what's going on.
Jared said the Green Party doesn't work,
but it also means telling the Senate.
Yes, the Jedi's relationship with the Senate is not a net negative thing inherently. I do think
I know that. I don't know if you know that.
I know that. That's why I'm saying I know that. I think that, and again, we also have the benefit of having heard Leslie Headland say in interviews that this is a Sith-centered story. Yeah. So I have
the benefit of everything.
I have the benefit of knowing that the Sith are at play right now, and that if Vernestra did, in my opinion, what the right thing to do would have been to get the Jedi High Council involved.
Yeah, Phantom Menace doesn't happen.
Then Phantom Menace doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Then there is that like if the Jedi High Council is like, oh, this is going south really fucking quick, and this is really complicated.
Yeah,
maybe we send Yoda.
Maybe we send
a Yaddle or a Yariel. Like
with all fiction, there's a level of not just suspension of disbelief, but also allowance for the characters to make suboptimal decisions, and allowance for this is going to hurt some people. Some people are about to have a tantrum and shake, and their veins are going to be popping. To Disney. You have to allow sometimes for things to be a little bit inconsistent. Let me tell you about a movie called Batman Begins, where at the end of this movie, there's a machine. There's a machine, and
not only do I love the phrasing, not only do I love the framing, I also know exactly what the fuck you're about to say.
I love this movie so deeply. I went for one of the ones I love. I didn't even do the low-hanging fruit of the one I don't love. Batman Begins ends with a machine that the entire premise is that it can evaporate all water within X radius of where it is. And yet somehow this does not affect the human body at all in any way. Why is that?
Good question.
Exactly. Does it matter? No. So it's like, why is Vern making a bad decision? I don't know. Think about any old lady in your life. Think about what they read and what they believe. Like, this is she's been alive for over 110 years at this point, going toward 120. Maybe she's like, look, I've been down the road. My master was a Jedi High Council member, and like, it's bureaucratic and annoying.
Super tight with politicians.
Yes,
the man's most famous moment was saving the life of the fucking Supreme Chancellor.
Stellan Gios became what they would later do with Anakin, like we can Captain America these guys, like that. That iconic moment became a turning point culturally for them. So it's character perspectives are different, and again, it's about what Vern thinks in that moment. It's not a commentary on what the whole order would have done if Vern wasn't there and Sol was in charge of that group. Who knows what happens?
That's true. Yeah.
Or anyone else.
And as somebody who's been going to bat for Sol a lot, I will even say, like, I think Sol probably would have made the same suboptimal decision from an even more understandable but selfish place.
Mm-hmm.
Sol has, by hook or by crook, whether it's the right thing to do or not, centered himself in this conflict every time. Every time he gets the chance, he is very clearly putting his own ability to put this situation to rest at the forefront of being like, I have to be the one to bring her in. Yeah. I have to be the one to do it. You need to let me.
And it's not until they're well into the Find Kelnaka mission that he finally is like, all right, we'll talk about this when we get back to the ship, which, as I tweeted, is the cardinal sin of storytelling.
Yeah.
If you're a fictional character, and you've got, especially if you have hair that could be pulled back at shoulder length, and you say some shit like that, it's over for you. I'm
Can't say I'll
sorry.
tell you when you're older because you're not going to make it, buddy.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. Like, what? It's just, yeah.
You know, it's really cool that when they did that, they did this really subtle face morph thing where Li Zhangji turned into Sean Bean.
Yeah.
It was really cool when they did that.
It was awesome.
But
yeah, so all that Jedi Council stuff is rich. And then, of course, like, not to get into a real world conversation too early, we're obviously going to talk about it, but can we talk about Ki-Adi-Mundi from like a joyful perspective for a second? Like,
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Okay, so pee break happened, y'all. Let's talk about Ki-Adi-Mundi joyously, and then Kason, you need to bring up the tweet again.
Ki-Adi-Mundi, like, positively, we all hear, you know, even if we're not like, I love him as a like fictional person, like we all like the character, I've always liked the character. I think before I switched and like realized Kit Fisto was the coolest, Key was the first one that really drew my attention. Like, ooh, what's up with that guy? Big brain. Like, ooh, what's his deal?
Big
and
brain,
then
second heart in his head too.
Second heart in his head, yep. And I think Key is one of the best translations from live action to Lego. I think Lego Ki-Adi-Mundi is so adorable. I just love him. I love playing as him. Now, in terms of this, like,
great. His robe looks great too.
It does. My journey with this was a really weird, like, it took me out of the episode in a good way because I was like trying to pay attention to what was being said while also being like, are you? And it was like,
yeah,
we get the first scene that's like a wide, a little bit above, and we see this room. Here's a room of Jedi working and talking. And I see, of course, a Syrian's head. And I was like, who the fuck are you? And, you know, of course, he's got a brown goatee because it's 100 years prior. So I was like, immediately, I was like, yo, you look like Charl Roy. But spoilers for the High Republic, Charl Roy is fucking dead. So I was like, I know it's not Charl Roy, who died on Dalna in the Night of Sorrow, which is just so metal. And so he died there and got turned to fucking dust.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get all of phase 2, but I'm like, was he a nameless kill? And you answered that before I could say it.
Yeah, he fought with Yoda and Yaddle and a whole bunch of people on Dalna. So it was a great battle. He did not make it, but he kind of looked like that, and so I was like, oh, it's interesting. Okay, I guess there's a new character.
I'm interrupting you one more time. He looked like that. It was a great battle. That is so prime for a Trump. He looked like that. He looked like that. It was a great battle. It was a great battle.
A lot of people are saying they're saying Charl Roy. And I thought maybe, but maybe not, because he died. They died, folks.
He died. He was fighting those dirty Force eaters like a dog. They were Yoda and Yaddle were there. Sorry.
Anyway.
Myself.
So I'm looking at him and I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess you're a new character, distracting, whatever. Then he spoke the first line, and I was like, okay, you don't sound like Ki-Adi-Mundi, so you're not. And then he said we should tell the High Council, and I was like, that's some Ki-Adi-Mundi advice. I was like, so maybe you are Ki-Adi-Mundi. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this right now. I'll table this thought. Then I was like, all right, let me go to the streets and talk to everybody and see what you're saying, what Michael McCoy is saying, what everybody's saying. And then I was in a chat and someone said, oh, Ki-Adi-Mundi. And I was like, yeah, I really hope someone says something about if it's him. And they were like, motherfucker, it's in the credits. I was like, what? And so then I went back and, hit skip a couple times to get it to the back half of the credits. And sure as shit, Master Ki-Adi-Mundi. So he's already ranked all the way up, which just blew my mind. And then, I didn't realize that we were going to fight a culture war because of this, but lo and behold, anyway, I had a great experience. I was so happy because Leslie Headland also, and I love and respect this, outright lied to the press, which I think in an age of leaks and bullshit and clickbait, more people should do. Not about serious things, don't be a liar, but like be a magician about it. Lie. If magicians are allowed to say that all their tricks are real and not reveal anything, like you should be able to do that as a showrunner. Leslie told Collider and a bunch of other places flat out, there will be no more appearances from people in this season that you know about. Vern Estra is the only one. Then they asked her about Yoda, and she was like, "Oh, could you imagine if I got to have like Yoda or the prequel Jedi?" But no, there's not. There's no one. It's not this season. I love that she did that.
So if I may weigh in here, and also just a quick question: did Alden get like weirdly muffled while he was speaking for anybody else, or was it just me?
Yeah, it's happened I think twice now for me too.
Okay,
I haven't heard.
It's not normal now.
you are
Yeah,
now.
it's
You
normal
are now.
now.
There was
Okay.
like went into like a
It
weird
just, like-
underwatery sound.
Yeah, like you sound.
You're very
normal, and all of a
legible. I was
sudden
just
it
letting
sounds
you
like
know.
you're on a cup and a string,
Weird.
and then it goes back to being normal by the time you stop talking.
Go ahead, talk, and then I'll fiddle with this.
So scene transitions. We get Star Wars wipe, and I get up, sprint into the kitchen, grab a glass of water, and come back. And as I'm coming around the corner, I've not missed anything, but they cut to the Syrian, and I just go, "Oh, Syrian!" Out of just like I say it out loud, out of just pure glee, because I love the species, I love the design, it makes me happy.
And
It makes
Jared
me think of-
normally identifies people that way when he sees them. So
Wow. No, so I got excited. I'm like, oh, it's really
Italians! Oh, Chinese people!
I'm fine.
But I got excited. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes me think of Coyote Mundi. So I
Oh,
sit
it's in
down.
timeout now.
I sit down and watching it. And, the whole rest of the episode goes by, and I have a brief moment where I'm like, it's really funny that he has identical facial hair to Coyote Mundi. And then I think of what's his fucking name from High Republic Phase 2 that I know exists, but I was like, I think, does he have a similar beard too? I couldn't remember. So episode ends, and Taylor and I rewind it, play it, rewind it, play it, rewind it, play it 1,000 times to try to get a play-by-play of as much of Darth Teeth as we can see. Again, this is the second time I'm going to make a Zapruder film joke. We were like, that is exactly how we were like trying to be like,
Analyzing.
is that Kamir's fingertip? You know, when he shit whips everybody with that force push. So I didn't even notice the credits. So I stand up, I stretch. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go talk to my friends about the episode and then do my live stream. And then I get a phone call from Eli. Star Wars in the Galaxy after Confrontations.
A phone call?
I get
A phone call from a
Dude,
commissioner?
I got
a phone call from the commish.
Alden, I'm not even kidding you. Like,
Hmm.
I get the same thing sometimes. I'm just like, dude, just text me.
A
Oh, yeah.
phone
And he
call.
does.
Eli loves
But,
to
like,
make
yeah.
a phone call. He doesn't call you. He chooses not to call you. He's too smart to do that.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows that he'll get a quick what the second that I answer.
What do you want?
And I'm like, and I answer, I'm like, hey man, I'm about to start getting ready for the stream now. And he's like, he's like, okay, cool. How do you feel about your boy being in the Acolyte? And I think he's talking about Darth Teeth. I think Eli's whole angle is, hey, this edgy, ridiculous, over-the-top Sith Lord just showed up and put a bunch of Jedi on their ass with one force push. How are you feeling? And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, it's totally Kamir. Can't wait. I'm so excited to talk about. Oh, hopefully get the lightsaber duel next week. And he's like, oh no, Coyote Mundi. And I was like, I literally, what? It's just like that. And then like just, and I had already turned off the TV. So I'm like rummaging around trying to find the clicker, turn the TV back on, and like zip all the way to the credits so I could see Master Coyote Mundi. I was elated. I love Coyote Mundi, and that's the thing. That's the other funny thing that, like, on the flip side, in case you made a joke right before we started recording again with the like nobody cares about Coyote Mundi.
Yeah, it was a tweet I saw earlier. It says people crying about Coyote Mundi acting like they've loved this character this whole time. Bro, nobody has ever cared about this character. And I saw that and I was like, I know a guy that would beg to differ.
Exactly. Because I've been here for Kai the whole time. I've been here.
Been here for years.
I've been here for years. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. And I was like elated to see
They
it.
changed that. I think.
But I've been seeing. I know they did, but I've been seeing all of these like.
But no one made an uproar.
No, of course not. But I've been seeing all these like all you guys like bitching about Coyote Mundi. Who the fuck cares about Coyote Mundi? And first of all, it's not about Coyote Mundi. It was never about Coyote Mundi. It was never about fire. It was never about forced births. It was never about spinning or any of that shit. But we'll get to that. And it's like, oh, y'all really give this much of a shit about Coyote Mundi? Yes, I do. And as the person who has decided, I'm the only person on goddamn Twitter who likes this character, and I am going to gatekeep Coyote Mundi.
All right. Well,
as the only true Coyote Mundi fan,
we need to parse that a little bit. We need to parse that a little bit. A lot of us like Coyote Mundi, and I'm saying it as Coyote because we're talking about your perspective. Even though when I talk about him overall, it's Coyote Mundi. You're also the only person I know that does Coyote Mundi every time. It's not that I love the character. I just think he's a silly, goofy, boring old man. But I think that's the point. It's the same. It's the same. Like loving a character for being what they're supposed to be is, I think, the perspective that I like. And John Jackson Miller just like doubled and tripled down on this for 60 chapters, just being like, here he is ordering ice cream, and it goes about as well as you think. Like,
not ice cream, a snow cone.
A snow cone, yeah.
A snow cone.
I would like a plain
that was not
ice
vanilla
flavored snow cone. And the guy being like, well, it is ice. We have flavors. And Key being like, no, ice flavor is what I want. And the guy's like, not sure that's a flavor, but all right. Like, this is a whole chapter. It's amazing.
Yeah, and like I don't know, and like and again, like we'll get into the whys and the what happened later. But the thing that I think is so funny is that like I love Coyote Mundi, because like again, Star Wars Obi-Wan game, all of that. I love all the people in the Jedi Council because of that. He looks cool, and like I have an attachment to him because of Legends. You know, like I've been working on a project here and there as much as I can that has had me like rereading a bunch of like old Legends comics that Coyote Mundi is the main character of. That I read a good bit of these comics when I was a kid, originally, and like I'm like remembering how much I love Star Wars Outlander, how much I love that run because it's all about Coyote Mundi being shown as somebody who is very set in his ways, who has very convicted beliefs, you know, or is very convicted in his beliefs rather. And like he feels what he feels and he believes what he believes. But there is a part of him that's like, I'll hear you out, but you need to hear what I have to say back in return. And I think that makes him a fascinating character. And he is flawed. Like you were talking about, Alden, with suboptimal decisions. Like Coyote Mundi is not a fantastic diplomat. Because that's the point. That's part of who he is. He's not good at that. And I love him because of it. So I was just so excited to be like, oh, like this opens up a door to like telling stories about a young Coyote Mundi. Like as somebody who sincerely loves this character, I was fucking elated to see that we're like, oh yeah, he was around in the High Republic too. Cool. Tell me more about that. And the internet fucking ruined it. I didn't get to take my Coyote Mundi victory lap for more than 30 minutes before some bald fucking idiot was talking about how like this is like shitting on George Lucas's legacy.
Even though if I went up to George right now at Sabaro's or wherever he is, and I said, you know, George right now is ordering like, you know, the worst mall pizza you've ever had. Not a care in the world. With his beautiful wife and his little child. And he's just like, you know, working on. If I went up to him right now and I said, George, what are your thoughts on Coyote Mundi? I know that motherfucker would be like, which one is that again? I know he would.
Yeah.
I know he would. He would try, and I'm sure he would have thoughts eventually because of Clone Wars. Like you would get there, but like all the George quotes that have been going around, and rightfully so, of how little this man cared about canon. He just said at 80 years old at the Cannes Film Festival that continuity is for wimps. That's an exact quote. Like that is word for word. Continuity is for wimps. Like
sensational. That's his word.
Thank God. Thank God. This is the man that saw Dave at work and was like, "Oh, you're gonna bring Darth Maul back," and then Dave was like, "But he just said figure it out."
I always forget about that.
He's like, "This is the man who has he's a billionaire," and he was like, "No more Wookiee Jedi." And then they made Clone Wars, and he was like, "I take it back." He's just
And then fucking, as we all know at this point, he suggests Darth Icky.
yeah, Darth Icky and Darth Insanius.
Darth Icky, Darth Exanius. Casey, if you don't know that story, those are the names that George Lucas floated for one Galen Merrick.
Yeah, because they were making Force Unleashed, and the developers, and I get it. You want to leave your mark. They wanted a new Darth, and George was like, no. And then they were like, oh, please. And then like George, in a way that was described as we couldn't tell if he was fucking with us or not, was like, all right, well, if you want to do that, you could do Darth Icky or Darth Insanius. And then everyone in the room was like, all right, well, I guess we're not.
The Secret Apprentice.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just like, all right. Which honestly, if he gave them shit names to get them to back off of their own idea, that's incredible. That's next level.
Genius.
It is. And again, I really do like that. And I know, like, this was part of my my brief 15 minutes of enjoying Coyote Mundi showing up in this show, of getting to be like, yeah, like everyone's like, oh, Coyote Mundi's a dickhead. Coyote, no pun intended. Coyote Mundi's he's douchebag. He's this. He's that. He's everything wrong with the Jedi. And I was like, no. Right now, Coyote Mundi is saying whether or not we are mired in politics is irrelevant. This is a problem, and we need to send it up the chain. And somebody pulled rank on him and told him no. So everybody who wants to be like, oh, Coyote Mundi fucking sucks, because he was so confident about Count Dooku and so confident the Sith wouldn't return. And he tried. And he's been trying, and he was broken by the system. Yoda's system. But yeah. And I enjoyed that for all about 15 minutes.
We love that.
Well, we will talk about the rest of. We'll talk about the real world element of that.
Yeah. Later, one other note on that, I'd also do think it's deeply funny that we saw one Keldor in like a wide establishing shot, that the entire internet was like, "What if that's Plo Koon?"
That was my immediate thought.
What if that's Plo? What if that's Plo? And
I thought it was an interesting thought when we were leading to the show, like in the TV spot where you could see them. But in this scene where I was, we're so focused on Key, I was like, that's not Plo Koon. Because immediately I was like, that's either a teeny tiny little dude or a Lady Keldor, which will be our first live action Lady Keldor, because there's got the teeny. Not saying it's right that sci-fi fantasy codes women as always having the tiny or whatever feature, but that has that. And in Legends, it was always like that. It was always like, like Plo's got like earmuffs like my headphones are right now. Yeah, like all this, and they've since been named. That character has a name now.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, the Star Wars Twitter account, because I guess that's just how we reveal stuff now instead of visual dictionaries like the good old days. They said
post of trading cards.
Their name is Ithia Pan.
Oh, I love it. That's
Ithia.
Star Wars name.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny that everybody was hung up on it being Plo Koon, like everybody's favorite prequel Jedi, not named Kenobi or Skywalker. And then, oh, surprise, it's a new Keldor. But Coyote Mundi's here, the one that everybody fucking hates, which made me happy. But yeah, moving into the trek on Kofar, I really loved a lot of the. I just loved a lot of the tone setting and a lot of the dialogue. Like it was just oozing with tone. I loved I loved how everything felt on the trek to Kofar, or trek through Kofar.
It was very to me at least, it was very Lord of the Rings. And I think it helps that like they were basically
you get the shot.
Well, yeah, the shot, but also like there was that wide shot of Sol looking out where he's like, we have to go in there. That's the wide shot of the forest. I'm like, that's fangirling forest if I've ever seen it.
It is. So. It is. Like obviously this is not a Dave production, but he's been there for the 20-ish years now, if not more, and it's like it's hard to avoid that. It's just a part of it now.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not on the clock. It's just in there. Like there's a very real chance, based on the trailer stuff, that Vernestra shows up the next morning of like that this battle might be survived the night. And because Vern's light whip thing is in looks like a sunny day in that same forest. So
yeah, absolutely. And I loved a lot of the dialogue leading into this. Like there's a lot of that kind of very fantasy motif of like making your way through the forest, through the wilderness, and both May and Osha are on this path headed towards each other, and they have to make it through. They have to push through to reunite, and I like that. It's very fantasy. It's very Lord of the Ringsy. I say that as somebody who's seen all of those movies once and not in a decade and a half.
You should change that.
Crazy.
I know.
I always forget that about you.
I know. I've been meaning to get back to it, especially for Rings of Power. But yeah, any thoughts on the Forest before we dive into some Khmer Darth Teeth stuff here?
I love the I mean, it's been talked about. Well, not talked about, but just mentioned. I've seen it online from mutuals, I guess, or just other people of mine. The line from Jackie where she says, "We're not defined by what we lose. We're defined by what we survive." Yeah. And that's oddly dark in a way.
It is, and it's like
because it's like, we're defined by what we survive. Because at first it's like, yeah, we survived this, but it's like, dude, you survived, some trauma-inducing shit. That shit's gonna stick with you.
I think that is definitely like one of those quotes where it's like every character that you put it under, the read feels a little bit different. Like especially because the word "survive" is such a Cal Kestis word at this point because of the game. Right. Like for him, it's like, yeesh. Like I've already seen some great tweets that are like Jara's death scene, and then Trilla's death scene and Seer's death scene, and like, but I love the positive read on it too, which is a real life thing that people say, like especially to survivors of any trauma, like you're not defined. Like it's easy, you get the other side of tragedy, and you're like, I lost this person. I lost my home. I lost my job. I lost all this stuff. Then you have that one good friend or that therapist that's like, but you're still here. And this was like the Jedi way of saying that, like, but they couldn't take you out, and that I think is important because we still don't know what the breaking point was for Osha to quit. That is still to be determined. All we know is that Indara was like, yes, you should. But we don't know why. And I think for Jackie, who has the same teacher as her, to pass some of that wisdom to her is smart, because Soul and Osha clearly love each other in a father-daughter type way. But sometimes your parents say shit and it just isn't worded correctly and you don't absorb it. Then your friends or your siblings do. And then you're like, oh, okay.
I get it.
I get what they were trying to say.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's also like, again, in the same way that there are so many people who want this show so badly to be the Jedi were bad the whole time, actually, whether that be the Jedi were incompetent and bad at their jobs or ethically bad or morally whatever, that are missing the point where like that Alden, you put it very succinctly earlier with the whole, the show is really good at making a point and a counterpoint all at the same time, that you're not defined by what we lose, but what we survive. Beautiful quote. Really resonates in terms of the real world and thematically with this show. It also is kind of it's a considerably more inspirational version of the line that was spoken off screen that made an entire generation of fan hate Liminara and Dully. Of that, like, don't mourn your parents, they're one with the Force. That there is that level of like, the weird relationship the Jedi have with those really intense emotions about loss. Mm-hmm. And that to a normal person who does not have to build their life around not letting attachment define you and consume you, that does kind of ring hollow,
Yeah, and I think Osha like speaks on that earlier in the episode. I can't remember what her line is about like loss or attachment or whatever, but there was something about it. She was talking, I think, with Jackie.
Yeah,
in
she
the
said, "Oh, don't
temple.
tell me you're getting attached." Like,
Mhm.
kind of throwing it in her face in a playful way, in that big sister kind of way. But yeah, like there is something that at once, like Jackie clearly is saying, like, yeah, man, you've been through some shit, but look at you. You've gotten through every single moment of it. Look how powerful you are. Just because you're not like actively reaching out with the force and moving shit with your mind these days doesn't make you any less strong. And that's beautiful. And that's absolutely what she's saying. But there is some level of, don't let it bother you.
Yeah, like you get the idea that based on based on Jackie's life path from here on in, that could blossom into some great emotional intelligence, or she could go down the Vernestra path of having age sort of make you a little bit colder and a little bit more
Yeah.
stalwart. Like, but
The
also
institution can kind of swallow you there. Yeah.
I love Daphne's note about it in interviews that she's like straight up been like, yeah, I'm playing that. Like Daphne has romantic feelings for Osha. She has a crush on her. Just cool older girl that like, used to do your job but left and now has her own life and tattoo and like she has a crush on her. And so I almost think it's like
I got that vibe a
Jackie.
bit.
Oh yeah, like when Osha says, "Are you saying you're gonna miss me?" and Jackie
Yeah.
Jackie might as well be kicking her feet at that moment. She's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, shucks.
but it's like
Shucks.
for her, you get the idea that outside of strangers on missions, her life's all Jedi all the time,
Yeah.
and that meeting someone who used to be but isn't anymore is a cool moment for her to maybe connect outward in a way that she wouldn't normally, like, and that it allows for a little bit of a. And again, this is still it's the end of the High Republic, but it still is High Republic. We don't know to what degree they are instituting the harsher attachment read or the celibacy read, which was never a hard and fast rule but became generally accepted.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also another beautiful symmetry there. Again, poetry, it rhymes. Things George Lucas actually said and believed about Star Wars that we're going to use to analyze the work. That in the same way that Soul was able to provide for Osha this, you don't have to be a witch, you could be a Jedi. Osha is kind of presented with this binary of I'm witch or Jedi. And then eventually, I think because it was those two things that she had access to, one of them didn't take because it was only not witch. That I think there's a beauty there that Osha is able to provide Jackie with this, like, this is what it looks like if you choose to not do this for the rest of your life. Just saying.
Yeah.
Not in a pushy way, because Soul wasn't pushy about the Jedi stuff, but just in that, like, hey, like, this is an option. And I think there's a beautiful symmetry there.
Yeah. It's related to like semi-related, quote unquote. There's like a little small moment I really loved where Soul finds Osha in the temple and he's like, I need you for this mission. And like she kind of perks up a bit, from what I can remember. Where
She
it's
missed
like,
it, yeah.
Are you asking for me to rejoin the Jedi? And he's like, no, I just need you for this mission for
He's
May.
like, nah, I need you to go over to the equipment lockers and suit up with this fucking beaver.
Yeah.
He's gonna wear the same shit you're gonna wear. What did she say? Like, I don't want to wear the civilian robes.
Yeah.
And then immediately hard
smash
cut.
Cut. Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, it's that.
And then like
cracked me up.
You turn to your left and there's just this like sentient beaver otter, like phenomenal. It's just like this is why I keep coming back.
Yes.
No notes.
Yeah.
No notes.
Fucking,
the smash cut was just perfect.
Yeah.
So.
I was gonna say I don't know if anybody else got this vibe, but Jackie's delivery is kind of giving me like Luna Lovegood vibes.
Now that you mention it,
very wispy, very airy.
Yeah,
there's like a whimsy to it.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like also like so like matter of fact too.
Yeah,
I know that.
Like
Daphne calls
like, listen,
her.
I'm not trying to like do anything crazy here. Like I'm not trying to like manipulate you anyway. I'm not trying to like influence you. I'm just saying like this is what it is, homie.
Yeah, Daphne calls her Baby Bowie, little alien David Bowie.
Oh, I like that.
She posted her. She posted on her Instagram story. I hope she put a link up to it somewhere. That's the playlist that she listened to while, getting into character and everything.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of fun stuff on
Nice.
it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. I like that. But yeah, and then they kind of, again, like a lot of the Force stuff is interesting. Again, I know, I know, I've been listening to a lot of Force Center as I do whenever a Star Wars show is coming out.
Never heard of him.
Alden, I think you and this Ken guy would get along really well.
Is he woke?
Quite.
Oh, all right.
But
That's
no,
lucky to hear.
I know Joseph Scrimshaw made the joke repeatedly of, Yord is very much a precursor to Coyote-Mundi, that he has that kind of, like, oh, stick up his ass type of thing going on. And that now the roles have reversed, that like, oh, maybe Coyote-Mundi was long lived enough for Yord to have trained him, and maybe that's the other way around.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine? That's so funny. That's so funny. It's like, oh, this, the disasters Skywalker lineage, the Shatterpoint lineage, and then it's like the fucking conehead ass lineage over here.
Conehead ass lineage. So listen, conehead ass lineage would be the Dark Woman, Anya Kuro. I know she's extremely not fucking canon, but I don't care right now. Coyote-Mundi, Yord Fandar, and then is splintering again back into legends of Sharadhet and Asheradhet. So I stay winning.
So my question is, if he's here during the Acolyte, right?
Yeah.
And he's there during the prequels, right?
Yes.
When was Jedi Rumspringa?
When was what?
Well,
When was Save the Species Jedi Rumspringa?
Well, Coyote-Mundi in Legends, again, we don't know that the Saurians are
Legends.
allowed to marry still. Like, we don't know
Allegedly.
we don't know if the Saurian birth rate shit is still a thing in canon. We just like to joke about it because it's deeply fucking funny.
Because out of all the like unnecessary lore and legends, it's one of the funnest details. Like it's just so buck wild.
From what I understood,
It's
he
like-
was like, pretty much when they was like, hey, I'm not on a mission right now. I'm not on assignment. There's nothing pressing going on at the temple that we should be nearby for other Jedi to tell us about. I'm gonna go visit my wives.
Y'all mind if I go sling some dick real quick?
Yeah. Honestly.
Y'all mind if I get up out of here for a little bit, do
I gotta
my
go
thing?
give Cone back home.
Gotta go give Cone.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
Gotta go get code. Oh, goodness.
Very rarely
Called
do
the
I
Crib,
make
the
myself
construction
laugh
site.
at something like that, but I saw a whole vision of like an SNL sketch of like,
The code heads.
of
Yeah,
like
there's a great premise for an SNL
Exactly,
sketch of a bunch of
like-
people with weird heads.
Chiari-Mundi, like the same level of like just sitcom ass weird comedy of Chiari-Mundi on an off day. But yeah. Yeah, Jackie, great. Chiari-Mundi, great. We talked about Vernestra. We talked about, Jared, it's your show. I'm just rattling off because I want to make sure we get to everything before.
No, you're good. I know.
Autumn's keeping the minutes this evening.
Alden,
I'm
listen.
I like
I know.
this.
I know. Alden likes to be a dick about me complimenting my friends. Alden
When have I ever done that?
I have an itemized list of 30 years of disagreement. Anyway, Alden is one of the best producers I've ever known, and I do not blame him for just kind of going into a flow state. I would never tell Van Gogh to put the brush down.
Jesus. Fucking hype. Fucking you simping for me right now?
See,
God damn.
this is exactly what I'm fucking talking about. I can't say nice
asking.
things about the
Simping for the
homie.
champ.
I'm just asking.
Alden
He's
and I
trying to get a
Alden-
title shot, man.
Alden and I. No, I want to take it. I want to pry it off of your cold, dead fucking body. Alden and I earlier today had a like.
This is a family show.
Had a verbal. I'm gonna fight the urge to talk about how they talk about Alex saying that all the time on Knowledge Fight, but Alden and I had a brief disagreement, not even a disagreement, just like a misunderstanding about like,
It was a
what
you
the other one was
thinking-
trying to say.
You thinking that a few of us, who us is irrelevant. Jared thought that we were saying something potentially, but he was making a different point than we were making. and then he wanted to clarify that he wasn't making a different point. It was one of those things.
One that like seemed kind of harsh, and that I was like underestimating your guys' emotional intelligence. And I was very quick to be like, "Hey, I just want to make sure you guys know this is not what I meant, because it's important to me that you know that."
Yeah, like a minute went by and we moved on, and then he sent a voice message clarifying.
And then Alden's like, "Oh yeah, kiss the ring. I'm in this guy's mind 24/7, rent free in his fucking head." And it's like, bro,
My boy has social anxiety. He doesn't want you to hate him.
I'm like, my friend's feelings are important to me. And Alden's like, "Kiss the ring." He literally, I'm not a paraphrase. I'm not doing a bit. He said, "Kiss the ring."
I did say kiss the ring. And then I wrote, like in Baldur's Gate 3, when you do something that a companion likes, it'll say like, Astarion approves or whatever. I wrote Alden Diaz approves. That's like a little, stage direction.
Yeah, my friend's
Like
feelings are important to me, Jared. That's very woke of you.
I know.
It is.
I know. I'm such a beta cuck because I like my friends.
Yeah.
God, I hope the Fandom Menace doesn't see me hugging my guy friends.
They would probably have an aneurysm.
They don't want to see me when I kiss them either.
They would definitely have an aneurysm.
But
I'm surprised they haven't had an aneurysm already.
Let's talk about the toothy Sith Lord in the room.
Okay.
Yes, Darth shit-eating grin.
How does everybody? So Kaysen says Darth shit-eating grin. O'Connor has a point, and then I want to go around and talk about how everybody refers to him, because everybody has their own nickname for this guy.
So I want to talk about before that, the May pivot. When that happened,
yes.
Okay, so when that happened, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And two thoughts went in my head. Two simultaneous thoughts, like kind of connected. One, this is very abrupt. I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably see. And my thinking was, I assume the flashback when we get to it is going to inform us of this pivot in a way and provide us the necessary context, plus whatever we get in the present storyline. Because I feel like we have to get something.
Yeah.
But then my second thought was, what if this is a trap set by her?
It's interesting. I considered a trap too, and blah blah blah. We've done a lot of that. Well, in the footage, whatever. Putting that aside, it's the way I described it. In my initial tweet reaction is that this is new ground for Star Wars, because it is. Normally, a Darksider coming back to the light, been there 100 times, but it's always a dramatic push and pull, a plea from the hero, a romance, a familial father son, whatever it is. We've never had, I'm on my way to do my goal, and I just thought about it really hard, and I kind of am stopping myself from taking the plunge. And I think that's a hard thing to pull off. I think they're doing it, and the reason why is because I keep thinking about them as children. And Child May is so possessive it's always us, it's always us, it's always us. She thinks twins defines their identities, and that it has to be them against the world, that they are a pair. That's the way it's supposed to be. She's had 16 years of rage and wrath and darkness, and has done wrong, and she will stand for these crimes if she lives, I'm sure, to answer for these crimes, I should say. And whatever with that, we'll see what happens. But she got rocked the day before by the revelation that this person whose absence defined her rage is no longer absent. And so now we saw them both hesitate. She can't fire the stun blaster at her, and she can't, get up and fight. She just has to run away. Then they land on this planet. She's thinking and thinking and thinking. And it's not like she's like, I'm going to be light and I'm going to go join the Jedi. No, she's just saying, me and Oshi can be back together. I'll go talk to the Jedi, and then I'll figure this shit out as I go. It's not so much a light side turn as it is there's a move for me now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it work for me, is the whole because here's the thing, still room for what the story they were telling. It's not like, I think people are like, oh, so the dark side story that they were telling is just disrupted. Not necessarily, because she's going to go over to her sister thinking it's reunion time, and then her sister logically might just be like, man, you
kill this bitch.
3 people. You murdered people in cold blood. And then that might finally be the crack in May that's like, oh, I thought I had you back, but I don't. This might just be like her
they
wavering.
Still have you, yeah.
Yeah, this might be like, You know,
Because like
if Force Awakens was a series, we probably would have had scenes like this with Kylo. You know, but it's a movie, so it has to be, you know, and we have two of the best actors in the world to sell that quickly.
it was
But
also
yeah,
she thought that she was doing this for Oshi
yes, it was
because she thought that
vengeance.
Oshi was dead. So yeah, so she was doing this for Oshi, and then like Oshi's gonna be like, "Hey, bro, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
And she's gonna be like, "Oh,
You know, it's funny you
I did
mentioned
this
that
for
one
you,
because
and
I
you
was,
aren't cool with that."
you're not my
Like,
sister.
oh,
You're a
shit.
Jedi. You know?
yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Alden, because friend of you and I, probably everyone here, Amy, she was also thinking the same thing of like, oh, because Osha's alive. To May, she's kind of like her perspective changes, and it's like, oh, wait, it can be us then again. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, a little nugget that I think is interesting and something that I think is telling is that, you know, when Kamir is very quickly to be like, again, Kamir, who I think is our Dark Lord, is very quick to be like,
Yeah.
just because your sister's alive doesn't change your deal with the Master. You know, and Osha is very much like, no, it actually changes everything. I am very, very convinced that that was the agreement. Was they took your sister from you. This is your shot to get back at them for that. And you are going to risk life and limb and eternal servitude to me to get that revenge. And it has defined her for so long that she has that moment of, oh, no, I don't need revenge. She's okay. Fuck this guy. And that May, in a very surprising moment, like puts a lot of stock in what the Jedi are willing to do, something that is not, which is not unprecedented, because we've seen how many, like both of the Jedi that May has killed have come at the benefit for her tactically of being able to go, I know what makes the Jedi tick, and I will use that against them. Is that she knows, again, for as much shit as she wants to talk about the Order, she knows Indara is going to drop her guard to save that bartender. And she knows that on some level, there is a insurmountable level of guilt for whatever the fuck happened that Torben has.
Yeah.
That he isn't calloused and has no problem with whatever happened. She's relied on the empathy and the good-naturedness of the Jedi to be able to undermine and kill them.
Their compassion leaves a trail.
Your compassion leaves a trail. It's like an itch they have to scratch. And she sees that here, that she immediately goes, oh, well, the Jedi will show mercy on me if I'm like, hey, I want to tell you everything. And I think I think May, aside from a self-preservation here with that, I think she also is aware of the fact that the information she has affects the way that the Jedi will see her. That if she's like, yeah, I was a kid and a scary fucking Sith Lord in a horrifying mask walked up to me and said, hey, kid, do you want to kill the people who killed your sister?
After I was,
kids, do you like violence?
Darth Shady.
It's just Slim Shady.
Darth Shady.
Darth Shady. Yeah, especially after, like, as Soul puts it, because when Vern is like, but you should have said, and he very quickly is like, I saw her fall. That's the most explicit he's been.
Yeah.
You watched her fall. It makes me wonder, like, was Teeth at the bottom force catching her? You know, did she force catch herself? Did she, you know, there's all, you know, whoever.
Was Teeth provocatoring the conflict between the witches and the Jedi?
Still something I think could be true, but it's very interesting. I do generally call him either Teeth colloquially, or like I've written out Darth Smiles a couple times. I saw someone say Smilo Ren, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah,
there a certain infamous bald YouTuber calls him Smilo Ren, and it's one of the few times that man's ever made me laugh.
I'm taking it back.
Yep, fuck it. It's not happening.
I picked up Darth Teeth from Force Center. Which then surprised me when Joseph said the character that the internet is clearly taken to calling Darth Teeth, and I went, you didn't come up with Darth Teeth? Because I heard him say it.
What about Darth Grinius?
Darth Grinius is very Georgie. It's very
That's
Lucas.
what George would do. George would be like, actually, another word for a smile is a grin. And so this one is Darth Granius, and
Granius.
he's the worst of them all. This is like slightly off topic, but not really, because it's still about him. But like, is there any part of any of us that thinks that this could be Tenebris or a named person that just hasn't been visualized? I know people would bitch because the species would be changed.
I don't know. I'm less attached to Darth Tenebris being a Bith than I am to Plagueis being immune.
Sure.
Like, I like Plagueis being immune a lot because it does, like, it sincerely affects like his role in bringing about the grand plan.
Yeah. Whereas
with
Biths don't have like a set,
well,
significance. Like,
you could, because like again, the whole thing with the Bith is that like they are so scientifically and like so scientifically minded, and that's why like his alter ego is Rugus Gnome.
So we go. Important.
So like you can still work around
and
that.
Then before Plagueis, Tenebris. Who's before Tenebris? We know this information, right?
It's not Noctis.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe like none of these people work out as the Acolyte, and then a young Tenebris is this guy. So I don't know. Fuck it. We know this show's getting more than one season, so these are questions for way later.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I can go either way with it. I know, and we were having a conversation about this earlier, Alden. I am very much in the camp that Darth Teeth, who again, and this is I think it's a question from Brennan Marr, just acknowledging this now. I believe he asked us, do we think that the Darksider is a Sith? Do you believe that the mass villain is a Sith Lord, or do you think they're just a Darksider or some other belief or order? I do think he's a Sith.
He's not a Sith Lord, though.
Well, I mean,
like
Sith,
Lord in the sense of like a master, because I feel like you said it, Jared, or you said it, Alden. One of you two said it. Where
we both agree. Yeah, Jared's been saying it. I agree with it. Nikki also agrees that like they keep using the word master, but they're using the word master lowercase m in the same way that any Jedi colloquially is Master Jedi.
Yeah,
I think
like they don't know.
This guy Teeth is setting up his number 2 so he can try to pull a Palpatine.
Yes.
He is trying to do this 100 years early.
Yeah,
and he's gonna fail, but because he has to. But
we don't think
there is. Well, I just mean fail in terms of like revealing them to the galaxy. Like he can't.
I don't agree on necessarily.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's the coming out party. Who knows if such a grand plan even exists canonically? It could be a Sheev creation. That could be a Sheev OG original. But you know,
Sheev on the track.
In whatever capacity, what the plan is, he is trying to do I could be number 1, you know. And I think you know, people will say it's Marvel, they're doing Marvel, but a great season ender would be like him reporting to his boss, and then we see some even more metal, wild, like original Leslie Headland, bad motherfucker, like big bad that we haven't seen before, that isn't Plagueis, that isn't anybody, or she, you know, shocks the world and straight up does a Legend Sith. I don't know, but
maybe. I mean, hell, they could even go the route that Darth Sidious was not Darth Plagueis' first apprentice. They could absolutely be like, like Plagueis had this guy.
Then grown men across the internet will be like, I grew up on Plagueis. That story.
You can't be a grown man and also have grown up on that book.
That's
mathematically
that
it doesn't.
Came out in the 2000s is everything to me.
I know I'm making fun of your straw man, but who doesn't exist. But no, I do.
Especially if you're 40, like
you were already grown. You were already grown when the Plagueis book came out.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Bum.
Bum. Connor just called these guys bums. Honestly, roasted. Like low key, one of the greatest insults in the English language.
For sure.
Yeah. Fucking bum.
Dude, I
see Connor. This is why you love Kendrick Lamar. He calls Drake a bum like 5 times in Euphoria.
Oh, he does. He does
like that.
Awesome.
Like that. Like
that's
that.
awesome.
But
it's a great word. I use it when talking about sports because it's very appropriate. So
Connor is from sports.
Yeah, it's always a good one for sports chat.
But no, I do agree. I think he is. I think Darth Teeth is trying to recruit his own apprentice. I think he's kind of doing. I think it's not dissimilar to like it's one of my favorite things about the Rule of Two Sith is that we have never had a depiction of a Rule of Two Sith who actually followed the fucking rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's never once happened. The guy who founded the Rule of Two broke the fucking Rule of Two.
I think that's a character left to be, explored, by some Star Wars creator. Like, show me the militant, like, how we always say, like, this Jedi is the ultimate Jedi. This Jedi is so good at this. Show me the Sith that is like, I'm not interested in domination. I'm interested in rules. I'm interested in like
letter of the law.
Show me the Sith Yord, but not comedic.
Yeah.
Like, show me like a dark side using Cyril Karn, who's just like, this is the way it's supposed to be. You can't just go and get your own acolyte.
Yeah.
Like
who's in the middle of the Rule of Two, who knows he's in the middle of the Rule of Two era, and is like, like we've come so far, we're not ready yet, so we have to stick to the rule.
Yeah, we got to stick to it. This is what like subsection A says or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dude would hate Palpatine.
I think you could. I think you could do something very, very interesting where, like, kind of like with the Force Unleashed, where it's one of those things that's always been so ambiguous, is whether or not Vader's bullshitting the Emperor with the whole, yeah, we totally brought him on board to help root out the rebels. That was always the plan, Master. And they're just like openly lying to each other because they both know if we tell the truth about this situation, we have to fight now. And they just both would rather not have to do that. I kind of like the idea that Darth Teeth is like, yes, Master, our plan to begin undermining the Jedi has gone so well. I totally wasn't going to help overthrow you with whichever one of these bumblefucks actually pulled it off. Totally.
Yeah.
And we both agree that I'm telling a lie, but we don't want to have to kill each other right now. So we're just going to go with it and watch each other like a hawk for the rest of our lives. I think that would be really interesting too, especially when you juxtapose that with the way that even with your, like, again, with the stick up his ass nature, like the way that the Jedi Order, the moment they realized Osha was innocent, shored up around her and was like, you're not fucking touching her. That instinct and seeing it, completely contrasted against the Sith of that, like, oh yeah, we clearly just want to kill each other because that's the only thing our ideology is capable of.
Yes.
But no, so Kamir's Darth Teeth.
Pretty obviously, almost too obviously. I'm not gonna be one of those. It's like they gave it away. Like I'm not gonna be upset about it. But
yeah, because like
I would love a swerve at this point because it's been so.
I feel like we're gonna get one.
Motherfucker's carrying around a big ass backpack, like he's carrying his costume. Or
that was the thing. That was like the little again Zapruder moment Taylor and I had. Is that we were like, well, if you look at Darth Teeth's cloak, it's just Kamir's flipped around a little bit. That he got
a reversible.
Yeah,
dude, I kept seeing people analyzing the hands and the arms.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
I will say though, it's hilarious that like the worst type of chud is hating on this because Leslie delivered probably the most like Legends video gamey like introduction for a guy. He literally floats down like Tartakovsky, like, which is incredible. Doing that out of focus is amazing filmmaking.
Terrifying.
I was so like,
dude,
so he does that.
He
effortlessly flicks this ex-Jedi, like yeets her across the
forest.
Dude,
I thought she was dead.
Effort. Then all like 10 or 12 Jedi are like, what's up with it? And he's like, okay. He's just like he's so not, and also the dude moves like a freak. It's not just the flick, it's the
dude, the unnatural, just the hand.
Yeah, dude, the head twist. Just like,
dude, so like I just got to go through this because like I can't remember the last time I was as unnerved with a Star Wars moment as I was with this, because you see Osha, and then you just see out of focus just this black thing just floating down. And I'm like, fuck, dude, this is freaking me the hell out. And then goes up to her. He turns his lightsaber on. At that moment, I thought, oh shit, she's done for. I was
I
straight
thought
up
he
like,
ran her through.
I was straight up like, she's dead right now. Flicks her with like just a very unnatural whip of the hand, and then really unnaturally whips his head around, does the force push, and so I just was freaked the fuck out. And my theory is that like it's probably Khmer. I just hope it isn't because it's just like too obvious.
We all want to be shocked because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to be shocked.
So,
but
like,
think,
and I think
the crackpot theory I just came up with.
I think we will be because
I do. It better not be the really bad one though, Case, and I'll judge you.
Yeah, because there's
one really bad one that I hate.
Mine was just gonna be a meme. I was gonna say it's gonna be fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
With the head snap and the eyebrow under the helmet.
That's
fine. No, because like I think
would
we're
love
gonna get shocked because like there's obviously someone else. I feel like there's someone else in play here.
Yeah,
that's like the quote unquote master.
But story thematically, assuming it's Khmer, I do like the reverse Yoda of it all.
Yes.
That pretend to be of low station, pretend to be kind of goofy, pretend to be of no consequence, pretend to be harmless mostly, and then suddenly you're the biggest freak of them all, and that your personality was entirely a facade. Like I think
I've seen some people theorize. That's a really good point.
That's horrifying.
I've seen some people theorize that like, what if the mask like quote unquote possesses him because again of the unnatural movements.
Yeah, I mean, I like that type of stuff in Star Wars. I like Momin's mask and other instances of that. Vader's castle being kind of haunted, and
the mask is fucking freaky, dude. I'm not gonna lie. We're probably gonna see that in like Halloween costumes or something.
Oh yeah, 501st is like jonesing right now for a good like, because I don't think he has a cardboard cutout or like a full body image yet.
No,
not yet. I don't think so. I think probably the closest we got was the out of focus shot.
Oh, dude, and we're gonna get Darth Teeth cosplay in Japan with Japanese cosplayers, dude. It's gonna go hard.
Oh,
yeah. It's gonna go hard,
dude. There's the High Republic cosplays that people are probably gonna do in Japan is gonna be nuts.
But no, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think that one of the things that excites me so much about like setting the stakes for what it's going to take on Darth Teeth, like the way it's framed in the trailer with that big, what are you, try to bum rush them and then they all go flying. The way that shot is framed, I was like always like, oh, so he just sets out like a big like repulse and sends them all flying. Like he barely lifts his hand up.
No, he's fucking. That's what that was the point I was making before we got started. Like he's fucking powerful, at least in a raw form. And Jared, we've talked a lot, especially with like in regards to like House of the Dragon, of like how in that show Rhaenys Targaryen or Velaryon and Corlys Velaryon talk about how the knights and fighting in tournaments during that time are the knights of summer. Like they didn't know Maegor the Cruel, and obviously by the time we get to Game of Thrones proper, the main story, those are the all-stars. Like the Kingsguard is and has been so stacked for the last couple of decades. It's got 4 or 5 guys that could all call themselves the greatest of all time. And how the prequel Jedi Order are kind of that. These are, definitely great, but they're 100 years removed from the Nile conflict and 100 years too early for the next conflict. These are the Knights of Summer. Only Vernestra remembers what it was like to fight a space Viking while the world was collapsing.
A space Viking riding a monster that can suck your soul out through the Force.
Yeah, and Yoda and a couple other people, but it's like we don't know if if old Buryaga is there. We don't know if Porter Engel's still alive. We don't know if there's a lot of unknown. But so yeah,
scary shit. It's scary shit. Like I'm ready. I am so ready to see just with how incredible the fight choreo has been without lightsabers really being drawn in a meaningful way. I'm ready to see what it looks like in this show when the lightsabers clash.
Mm-hmm.
And B, I'm ready to see, as I said on Twitter earlier, I'm ready to see if Darth Teeth has the sword play to back up the Force powers.
Yeah.
Like again, Daphne Keene, she talked a big game, and again, people got fucking butthurt over this too. She talked a big game of like when we set out to do some of these fights, we were trying to outdo Duel of the Fates. And if your plan for outdoing Duel of the Fates is quadruple the number of Jedi present, and have your Darksider be like a weirdo fucking freak with one blade who moves like something out of goddamn Hereditary, yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Color me in.
Yeah, especially like I know we're gonna date this a little bit because people will watch next week's and then be like they were wrong, but we talked after the episode like, what if it's like we don't pick up necessarily with a 10v1 duel, we pick up with a oh my god, it's Friday the 13th and we're in this forest at night and we are unprepared for this, and yeah, Soul can hold his own, Yord can hold his own, Jackie can hold her own, but if you don't have a name, you're fucked. Like we're running through this forest and we're just getting ghostly, like we don't even see this man's feet. He's just
just full Michael Myers.
Dude, that shit would freak me out.
Yeah.
Like I would not sleep.
Well, something, and again, this is another opportunity. And again, Star Wars has always been really good at taking it to a really dark fucking place, but you still get that chaser of the light and the hope and all of those things. Like, I don't know, man. This show's second episode had a depiction of somebody committing suicide. Live action on screen, full view of everything.
Fair.
I'm kind of preparing for some gruesome kills. Like, and again, as much as people want to be like, the Disneyfication of Star Wars, like, that movie everybody hates, Kylo Ren lobotomizes a motherfucker with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
After stabbing a guy in the throat with his crossguard and then throwing somebody into like a giant fan. Like,
yeah.
The Disney era of Star Wars has been very violent with the lightsaber. And again, we can litigate, people get up from lightsaber wounds all the time. Okay, and the ones who don't are like a closed casket. So the pendulum swings back and forth. Sabine Wren survived getting stabbed. Kylo Ren stabbed the guy in the fucking face.
Also, just real quick, something that I saw some people theorizing that maybe the person like portraying like probably the stunt guy or whatever, maybe portraying Darth Teeth is David Harewood, because people saw that he apparently joined the Acolyte in like a small role, so people were like, "Ooh, what if he's Darth Teeth or whatever?"
He's the Darth Teeth fighter.
Probably, maybe.
Like there's a part of me, and I'm not bullshitting you. There is a part of me that is convinced that they chose a Keldor to be present so that they could kill the Keldor in the most horrific way possible, and that is ripping that mask off.
I think that's just a you.
Jesus,
I think you're just a sociopath.
Why did you take away that man's right to get into heaven?
Again,
dude.
This is a theme with you. Yeah, I mean, like watching a Keldor gasp for air would be like legit horrifying. Which we haven't talked much about the death of Kelnaka, but like tying into that, seeing aliens that we love. Like I spoke about this on Twitter. Like I had a visceral reaction to it. Like I didn't cry, but like I kind of slumped in my chair and was like, "That's not right," and not in a "it ruined my life," but like in a like video games, whatever, Battlefront, Force Unleashed, like whatever.
Wookiees are such a staple of our childhood.
Yes, a live action Wookiee outside of Chrysanthemum, they are coded. Andy from Force Friends Rewatch and Ending Pending and Gender's Queers Buccaneers said it really well, that Wookiees are coded to mean the promise of adventure. That like a Wookiee is just like, here we go. Like you meet a Wookiee and you're like, you want to hug it. You want to talk to it. You want to see what it's going to do. You want to see what's going to happen.
That's so baked into Star Wars. Like everything almost, there was that era that I think was like, I think the last gasp.
Like just Kashyyyk in general.
Well, I just mean like, like there was like an early Star Wars things, like a lot of legend stuff before a certain point, like, did this thing where there were like certain things that were on the it's Star Wars, so it has to have blank checklist, and even things like KOTOR that like have so much Star Wars DNA in it, but like play fundamentally with how you tell a Star Wars story, has your Wookiee companion. So does fucking KOTOR too. Like, that's sorry, continue on. That is just such a brilliant thought.
No, you're good. Yeah, so it's like seeing the way I explain it is that a lot of our reactions to scenes come from the tension between different elements, you know, and that's how you get really great cinema and things you don't expect. Like when a horror movie slows down a song that should be a happy song. It's that, like, you know it, but it's different and your brain feels weird, and that's why it works. That's why things like Guardians of the Galaxy hit, because we shouldn't hear 70s earth pop in space, but here we are, and we are hearing it. And what does that mean? So here you've got this childhood symbol of like, I want to hug it. Kids lining up at Disney World to hug Chewie. Kids love Gunji. Like, even though Chrysanthemum is evil, like when you meet him, he still ends up being good and like part of the gang by the end. So it's like they're always this dependable thing 99% of the time. And then we tee him up with his Shrek introduction. We show him in the past being really nice to Osha, like turning around and saying hi to her, waves at her after she gets the midichlorian test when he's in the distance. And then we break in here, and not just dead and gone, but unceremoniously gutted, and then, or not gut, but chested, and then slumped over in the chair mid-meal. Just
With a
like
smoldering wound.
straight up, just like serial killer murdered. And that's stuff that we watch as adults. We all watch Seven and Silence of the Lambs and all that stuff, and we're like, he's not. What's and like, yeah, your adult brain comes in after your Star Wars nerd brain and is like, oh, we're gonna see Kelnaka in flashback, so like I'll get more of him. But like, it doesn't change the narrative that guy just got probably boom, just like from, you know, no duel, no
that's
honor.
exactly
And it was just like, Jesus. And it's just depressing. And also just like, it's kind of like, you know, all 3 sequels went by, and every time people would be like, oh, do you think could they kill Chewie or R2 or 3PO or crash the Falcon? And like, there are those things that we're like, never. And then this is kind of like, you want to see what that would look like?
No, in a really real way. And like, I just want to like, I want to call attention to it because anybody who's listening to the show, that little pantomime you did of like grab the spinny chair, you know, like turn it around across, like that's exactly how I imagined it. Because whenever May busts the door open, there was a stillness to how that like establishing shot of his little hut was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I like jumped up on my seat and out loud went, "Oh my God, he's fucking dead." Because like I could just feel how visceral that he was gone, and seeing it was just
yeah, it was because it was like filmed the same way that it always is whenever somebody's like stumbling onto a body. Like with somebody they're not expecting to be dead, and they're like walking like through the different rooms of the house, and it's like you pass a wall, and you pass a wall from the other side to go through a different doorway, and then like you see like the chair, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a no longer with us person.
Yeah. So you're walking into a wake.
It's
rough, man.
It's brutal. It's brutal. Like I said, I think we're getting at least a couple brutal kills from Darth Teeth.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that Keldor is there to freak people the fuck out. I really do. I really think maybe I am a sociopath, but I think but yeah. So that's the episode. This is a phenomenal episode.
Indeed.
Let's talk about some real world shit before we wrap up. This is never the like Alden said earlier, you're allowed to not like things. I don't think there's a single person on the planet who's ever heard somebody go, yeah, this show isn't for me. And they're like, oh, you're a racist, homophobe, misogynistic, whatever. This fandom's out of fucking control. Yeah, let me rephrase that. There are people who cosplay as being Star Wars fans who are out of fucking control. Like, you don't go here. If you are among the cohort that is sending rape and death threats to the people who run Wikipedia because they did what they always do when a new fucking thing drops and immediately update a character's fucking profile. That has been a stock standard fucking thing that Wikipedia has done for years.
Like, literally, I'm 28. Like, most of my life, they've been doing that without fail. And no one had a fucking problem with it until their leadership team changed and they became inclusive. Because there was a period where some fuckheads ran Wikipedia. We all know that. There was a dark side of Wikipedia for a little bit. Those people are gone. Now they're proudly for acceptance and all these things. And suddenly, it's an issue. And it's like, we know what's going on.
And the thing that I find so just flagrantly disingenuous that sends me into a fucking frenzy is the way that there is no shame. There's barely even a dog whistle anymore. That somehow Coyote-Mundi's age changing is this great disrespect to George. Like, I'm sorry. I want to know at what point, like, considerable amount of quote unquote Star Wars fans forgot that Legends was made no longer canon. At what point were we treating Legends like it was canon? Because I forgot. I forgot if that happened. If we this whole time have been trying to make Legends and canon in any way possible cohesive, that escaped me. Because if you think Coyote-Mundi, knowing that there is a rogue Force sensitive who was maybe trained by a rogue Jedi, who killed a handful of Jedi, who said a very in-character thing for Coyote-Mundi to say while he was low man on Totem Pole, Coyote-Mundi, a character who very much believes in institutions, that when his superior told him, no, don't worry about it, he relented, somehow makes it so that there's a continuity error now. Like, either you can't read or you're fucking lying. And again, I'm engaging with the argument like on its face, which is stupid of me to do. But like, I am a firm believer that, like, you know, and again, I respect, and, you know, Eli sent in a couple questions that we will answer. But the first one was like, what do you have to say to the person who says, oh, just ignore it? That's not been fucking working. It's not been fucking working. Well, were you getting ready to say something, or were you just snaps?
No, that was just a yee.
Yee. You know, it's not been working. And the reason why it doesn't work, and the reason why there needs to be counter fucking programming to this, is that the layman fan, the fan who is like apolitical, in that I'm apolitical in the way that I'm just kind of passively conservative, as most people are, as most people who are apolitical in some way, shape, or form are just kind of passively conservative. You know, probably progressive on a handful of issues, but like have some conservative leanings, because, you know, the complicated realities of the world haven't been explained to them as they need to be explained to everybody. And that fan who like weirdly bumps up against Star Wars stuff, and they go to just YouTube Star Wars and like listen to people talk about it, they find people like, and we're going to stop pretending he's the fucking boogeyman, Star Wars Theory. Let's say the motherfucker's name.
Actually, his real name is Nayatu's Dadbay. And I'm not going to call an adult by a fucking screen name. So I'll take it even further. That person's name is Nayatu's, and that is public information. You don't have to take the fall for saying it. I'm not fucking doxing the guy.
No, you're not. I only just don't say it because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's people. I know people
because I never heard him say it.
People have colloquially called him Toos, so it's like I'm assuming it's Nayatu's. But it's just like, yeah. I mean, all of this plug 2-part crossover. Listen to that. It'll be in the links, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the end card of every video. Phantom is how we got here, part 1.
It's just like, yeah, we're not talking about space witches. It's not about fire and space. It's not about Ki-Adi-Mundi. It's not about Sith. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about you guys are bad actors. And if Star Wars was a little bit less popular, you'd be doing if Star Trek was more popular than Wars, it would be happening there, but it's not. And so Star Trek has quietly, not quietly, because it is massive, but like it's always been sort of the thinking man's nerd thing. You know, it's always a little bit like these chuds won't put the effort into that. And
you'd be surprised. They've tried. They've
tried, but it's exactly like it's so leagues ahead of other franchises that it's hard to be stupid about it, because they'll be like, is Star Trek woke? And Star Trek will be like, yes. Like it's very like like
they will introduce a they will introduce a Starfleet ship simply called the USS Woke, and no, like
Captain Kirk will be like, I'm on the planet of pronouns, and then you know people will explode,
and then he'll date a purple alien, and you know.
Yeah, I mean they also had they tried to bring pronoun bullshit, fakeness, fake politics.
He,
of
they,
like,
whoever,
with the beaver, and I'm like, he's an alien that she's never met. It's a normal thing to say.
Well,
if I met a fucking alien, I also would be like,
what's their deal?
Yeah, like
well, but that's such a self-report though, Alden. It truly is that there are people who heard May go, he, they, what's going on there? That hit their brain so hard is like, oh, they're virtue signaling. No, motherfucker. If you meet somebody who you're not sure about what their pronouns are, most people who are clued into that kind of thing say they.
Yeah.
That's a normal fucking thing.
It's like not hard.
Like that is such a fucking self-report, because you're dealing with people whose knee-jerk is to think it's funny to misgender people. You know? And the thing that I am fucking livid about, the thing that and I'm not here, and I'm not trying to be thirsty and make my own fucking name on arguing with these dumb fucking bastards. But let me tell you something. I would love to grill Neatos, however the fuck we say it. I would love to grill him and be like, okay, your new thing is, if you say you don't like it, you're an isterophobe. If you're an isterophobe, if you don't like it. Okay, motherfucker, why was every single joke you made about episode 3 always coming back to lesbian witches? Like it's some fucking why was the punchline that they're lesbians? Why was that the joke? Why was the thing you were frustrated with that like a ethnically ambiguous group of lesbian witches created the chosen one before the chosen one, which isn't what happened. You're just fucking illiterate. But like, why was the punchline lesbian witches? If you are not angry that there is loud queerness in your Star Wars, why is that the thing we keep harping on?
Just don't put in the newspaper that I'm mad, because I'm
Pick
not.
a fucking side. Pick a fucking side. And again, and I know, and Alden loves to make fun of me because I take very seriously the idea that we need to know what these fuckers are up to, and need to know the ways that they're moving the discourse. I watched some of his coverage of this fucking episode, and let me tell you, I could not tell the difference between the way that Theory Nyatos was talking about Wikipedia updating Ki-Adi-Mundi's page from the way that Alex Jones talks about the fucking globalists. Like, and I'm not saying that lightly or as a bit. I'm being fucking serious. Where he's like, and then they made sure they got in there real quick, like nobody would notice, and changed it to convince people that it's always been this way. So we have a grown-ass motherfucker starting a conspiracy theory about the fictional birth date of a fucking alien whose head looks like a penis. Because
he was updating it like our Pokedex, dog.
Updating it like a Pokedex. And then when Wikipedia gets bombarded by all these fucking losers, and somebody in good fucking faith is like, at Star Wars Theory, use your voice. Speak up. So decides to do this elaborate whataboutism of like, Well, people who like Disney Star Wars came after me and sent me and my family rape and death threats, and have like threatened to send anthrax in the mail and sent suspicious packages to my family. That's fucking heinous, bro. That is so disgusting. Nobody should have to deal with that. And if you've been personally affected by it and you refuse to speak up because you have this fucking chip on your shoulder because other people have done it to you and other people don't fucking like you, it's awful. You have a moral fucking responsibility with the platform you have to speak up and fucking do something, you goddamn coward. You know, you want to talk about George. You want to talk about everything George Lucas put into his fucking story. Doing the right thing when the wrong thing was done to you is a core fucking tenet of these stories, but you don't know that because all you know is high ground, hello there, lightsaber, go fucking burr, and it's cool when Darth Vader kills
yeah,
people.
because these
You
are media
motherfuckers don't like
illiterate
Star
people.
Wars. You like lightsabers. Fuck you.
They are media illiterate people, whether it's Star Wars or not. These are people that, as I've said 1,000 times, think Jaws is about the shark. These are people that just like have no earthly concept of the fact that stories are about things. And so to them, stories are like food on a restaurant menu where it must come the way they want because they asked for it. And then if not, they're going to treat the waiter like shit, send it back, demand another one, and then want to get it for free. And then this, that, the other thing. And then, you know, make fun of their friends that do like that restaurant. Oh, you eat a fucking Arby's, you fucking idiot. Like whatever. Whatever it is.
I will say for people as someone who has worked in a restaurant, for customers who have done that, we fucking hate you.
Yeah, everyone that's worked in service industry, we hate
fucking
those guys.
hate you.
If you are a white dad, especially wearing jeans of any kind, you're already on thin ice. You're on thin ice. And then you have the audacity to send something back? Man, send yourself back. You know?
Also,
reduce
maybe
yourself
come
back
with a receipt.
to a zygote state. I don't want to see you anymore.
Alden, to your point about the whole media literacy thing, I feel like something that's like not super talked about is the fact that like someone could be a media illiterate, but they don't sort of try to improve upon that. They just kind of stick in their ways. Because like I'll say it myself, there are things in some Star Wars episodes that I've just seen that I'm just kind of like, whatever, and that you guys will talk about, and then I'll be like, oh, so that's what you were going for. And
but that's the thing. That's not. But again, having people open up your mind to a different idea is not media illiteracy. It's not. And the thing that we need to stop doing is using.
Well, no, there's sometimes there are things I just miss.
That's no, for sure. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but like on this specific topic, and we will get to a more lighthearted question because I know Alden has to go soon. Okay. And there's a question in here that's very funny that I want to hear Alden's answer to. But the thing that that frustrates me about using media literacy as a weapon here, and using they're angry about fire, they're angry about witches, they're angry about Kayati Mundi. Like they're like no, we need to stop taking this at face value unless you're going to debunk it at face value. If you're going to go, I know that this is a dog whistle, but let's explain why your argument, even if this was actually what you meant, is wrong. Like the witches and it devalues Anakin, all that bullshit. We need to just accept the fact that A, it's a dog whistle, and B, the people who are making money off of this get it wrong on fucking purpose.
Yes.
We've reached a critical mass of not understanding the text where we are presented with two options. We are dealing with a group of people who I'm not saying this to be funny. I am sincerely capable of getting up, and I am sincerely surprised as capable of getting up in the morning and putting on their clothes and entering society. Or there's a bag to get to be like that heels versus babyface dumb fuck and just scream fucking pronouns into a fucking microphone the moment you're given the opportunity to go viral on Twitter because you hate trans people. Like it's one of the two. And granted,
what's worse,
if you're that much
as
of a bigot,
we all
you're
know,
inherently a fucking idiot. Sorry.
What's worse is that they can post one of these things and get all the support.
Right.
I have made it a point to say I am at the point in my life where I hate their viewers and listeners more than I hate them. It's like, you know, say like Donald Trump has always existed. You know, I remember when Donald Trump was on fucking Monday Night Raw, buying Raw and kayfabe. Like He's always been this guy. I hate all of you voting against your own interests, acting like clowns, screaming, crying, throwing up because he's guilty of white collar crime. I hate all of you specifically more than I have an issue with him at this point, because it's like you should not be able to put up a skit and get, I think at the time that I saw it was like 40-something thousand views in a couple hours. Like, that's a fucking problem. And of course, a lot of it is you can mute and don't recommend channel all you want. It doesn't work. Google, the Google Facebook Meta conglomerate, YouTube, all these 2-3 companies that are controlling all this want you to see this stuff because it's algorithmically friendly. But this is a much larger conversation. All this to say, you're wrong, we're right. I don't want to share a fandom with you. I don't call you Star Wars fans for a reason. You might be like, oh, well, he's being intolerant. He's the gatekeeper. You're right. I am the gatekeeper. It's me specifically. I am also the gate opener, and you're welcome to leave. Like, the niceties. Sorry. Like that. I think, like, to tie it into Star Wars, like there's a time and a place and an immense mental, emotional, spiritual, political value to Rose Tico's philosophy that everybody loves to quote because it's a great line. But what Rose is talking about is the self-preservation of one's own side and the value of individual lives within a cause and ending a cycle of violence within those confines. Rose Tico did not, I see how you feel that way. Let's just be respectful to the First Order.
No.
That's not what she said.
Nor did Rose Tico say you shouldn't blow up the Death Star.
Yeah, like, Luthen Rail and Saw Gerrera, Mon Mothma and Bail Organa and Princess Leia, they don't all agree on a lot of stuff. That's a part of the point. A lot of them do not agree on things. None of them were out registering people to vote. That's not what it was. They all knew they were beyond that pale at some point. Some of them got there sooner than others, and like they continued to argue well into the Civil War. But that was not the point. Michelle Obama was not on Yavin. Okay, that's not how it worked. And you can quote me on that.
I respect you for somehow arriving at an equally cursed stance as my Master Yoda is Nancy Pelosi. But
that's not equally cursed because that's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Don't try to drag me down with you.
Okay, as funny and silly as.
It's funny and silly, but I also mean it. Like, I think some people,
as do I.
I think some people heard when they go low, we go high, and they thought that could just be like this magical solve all forever. And it's like, I hate to give this man any credit. I really do. I hate it. But there are two things that Bill Maher has said in the last 20 years that are of value. One is that this country was never going to elect Elizabeth Warren because she's a 3-syllable woman in a 1-syllable country. That is 100% true. And then the other thing is responding to Michelle Obama when he said, no, when they go low, kick them. That is one of the only smart things he has ever said, just on principle. Like, they are going low. That is your opportunity to take control of the narrative and fight. It does not mean that you're just like, let's tag all of our favorite positive creators. I'm doing this. I don't know why. This is just what I see when people do that. A lot of this. It's like, I get it, man, and I appreciate it. I got tagged in a couple of those today. I really appreciate that you all think that of me. You clearly don't know me well enough, but I appreciate that you think that. It's just like, guys, we're at a cultural, like, thank God Andor season 2 is coming after the election. Thank God. That's like, I'm glad. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, this is, like I said, there will probably be, after the Acolyte is over, a whole episode talking about the discourse, because it does need to be talked about, and not in a way that just begins and ends with this is exhausting and stupid, because it is exhausting and stupid, but it's also very fucking important. Moving into our Q&A that we're going to rapid fire a little bit here, because I know Alden has to go here in a second. One of those questions we addressed from Eli, but he had a second one that's way more lighthearted and a lot of fun. just going to read his tweet directly. Good news. The Wayseeker Alliance and Chungus Eternal are recruiting in the galaxy far, far away. If you were to draft 3 Star Wars characters each to play in our factions, who would they be and why? Alden is the champion. I'll allow you to go first.
All right, so I'm picking 3 people to join.
3 people who would join the Chungus Eternal. And I will be litigious because you are a heel. You are a very heel faction. So
That's fine.
I better not hear the words Leia Organa come out of your mouth.
That's fine. Well, we are going to absolutely take Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be the first draft pick, because this man is a trivia master, literally in his character. It's all over what he does. Trivia master, yes. I think we are also going to want to take. Let's see here. I don't. It's difficult, because you don't want you can't just go. It's also personalities, and there are some people that are coming to my mind, but then I'm like, I wouldn't want to work with them.
I will say, I do think Thrawn's a really good pick. Just in general, because again, obviously, everything you just said with like the trivia stuff, like he is already that. And we haven't really done this with Epic Confrontations very much. Like I think I like you and Michael ride shotgun for the other one's match, but like there are faction leaders, but we haven't really done faction managers. And Thrawn would also fall very nicely into that. Like he is present to make challenge calls from behind the scenes.
Absolutely, yeah. For my second pick, I'm gonna draft Dedra Miro. I think she'd be great because her hunger is like second to none, and her attention to detail and her ability to know, like Dedra's the type of person that would say like challenge on the question, and everyone would be like, "Nah, Dedra, you're out of line," but she'd be right.
So like, just a normal match involving you or Michael.
But we're right. And then third pick, get out of the Imperial zone a little bit. I think
it's a little fashy so far. It's a little fashy.
Motherfucker, you were the one that were like you had to pick based on alignment. So
I was just saying I didn't want to hear any like sparkling heroes. I was waiting for like a Hondo because he's kind of scummy and fun and silly and will fuck with
my
me.
brain won't stop saying
win.
Grand Admiral Paul Heyman.
I'm trying to win.
My tribal chief has declared.
My client.
Let's see who final pick. What about? I'm taking Balin Skull.
Ooh,
that's a good pick.
Solid.
I'm taking Balin Skull because
that's your first potential stole from me pick.
Because every time that I beat Jared, I have to remind Jared that it has to be that way, with the same sort of just like mournful regret that Balin has when he's like, "Sorry, I had to come to this big ass swing." Like, so I almost went stupid with it and took the son in the same way that I took the daughter for my Star Wars blunt rotation. But I was like, nah, I can't be picking.
You cut out for me. I missed what you said. What?
I said I almost took the son in the same way that I took the daughter for my Star Wars blunt rotation. But then I was like, picking gods.
Too busted.
I already have one. So there's already a god on my faction.
Audio listeners, he pointed at himself. Okay.
Man, I hate that Ray Stevenson's not with us, man. Not to bring the mood down, but like
I do too. No, I do too.
It's heartbreaking every time. The core philosophy of the Wayseeker Alliance is, I'm going to quote Hamilton for the second time in this episode.
I love it.
Scrappy and hungry. Young, scrappy, and hungry. That is our thing. We are scrappy. You could put a boot in our asses. We will be back, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for the next match, ready to rock and roll. We learn. We get beat. We get up. We do our thing. So my first pick, Rey Skywalker.
Okay.
Homegirl.
Someone that you have repeatedly said in the past would lose different versus situations, but that fits Way Seekers. That's good for you.
Yeah, because she's not battle tested like the people we normally use in the Versus series. Not to that degree. It wouldn't be a fair fight. I'm taking Rey. Similarly to Thrawn, she has an in-universe deep familiarity with the trivia. She is intimately familiar with a literal wheel slice, the sacred Jedi texts. So Rey Skywalker, first one there. I want to have somebody who again understands how to have their heart in a fight and rally and is a good tactician so that, I know I ride shotgun for my teammates' matches. But I want somebody who's like familiar with the rules as me to ride shotgun with me, and somebody who can maybe help me. So I'm gonna tag in Admiral Radis. Okay, so I got Rey, I got Radis.
Radis is actually good. Yes.
I'm trying to. I want to go for like a wild pick. Third pick. Because here's the thing: in the Wayseeker Alliance, you don't necessarily handle every loss as well as you wish you could. Sometimes you get a little hot. Sometimes you got to have that fire in your belly, where like you want to do the Jedi thing, but sometimes you just got to punch a motherfucker in the mouth, or at least you need that energy so you can get there. Jedi Master Elzar Man.
It's a great pick. It's a really good pick.
That's
I don't have a joke. It's just a good pick.
I think that's my Galaxy Far Far Away roster is Rey, Radis, Elzar.
All right. Next question.
Solid.
Next question. I'm trying to get my phone open.
Can't believe neither of you said Hu Yang or R2.
What?
Can't believe neither of you said Hu Yang or R2.
Those are both.
Those
are good picks. I don't know how quickly R2 can write on a whiteboard.
He could transmit the information pretty quickly. I feel like R2 would be too OP.
We got one from Amy who said, "I'd love to hear your takes on different or new to Star Wars cinematography choices in this series, especially in terms of adding a bit of a horror element to the storytelling." We kind of touched. That was the funny thing is that we kind of touched on a lot of these questions throughout the episode.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Big fan. Yep, big fan.
That was a great question from Amy, and yeah, I mean that's that out of focus. It's like using the focus and out of focus. That was the kind of like
one of my favorite bits in film, and I love that they're using it in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. Again, it really hammers home just how supernatural Darth Teeth feels. Like in a story, not even just a universe, a story dominated by like all powerful space wizards. Darth Teeth feels like a demon unleashed from hell, and we have only seen him truly in action for like what 20 seconds,
if that,
and he feels like an insurmountable threat. So no, I really do like that, and I do want to see more of those. I do, I like it's modern Star Wars is really, really beautifully shot. It is a criticism I've heard, and one that I can kind of get behind of like Lucas era Star Wars is that, the shot composition is a lot of like, wide, close up, wide, mid, close up, not a whole lot of crazy stuff. Like one of my favorite shots in all of film history is the shot at like the midpoint in Black Panther, where we're watching Ndajaka walk towards the throne, and there's that like really fucking cool 180 rotating shot. Like I want to see a shot like that in Star Wars that just like that truly encapsulates like the grandness of the moment. So that's a big one for me. Adam Fraser asks, I have a two-part question. How much is Disney paying you? And what will your first post-Acolyte check purchase be? Personally, I'm thinking of buying a race car bed. I'm gonna get a Roosevelt's whale. I think I'm gonna get one of the crazy expensive ones. I've been working really hard to defend the Acolyte, so I'm gonna get a big check. So I think I'm gonna get that. I think I'm gonna get that Return of the Jedi shirt from last year. Alden, what about you?
Disney doesn't pay me in cash. Disney pays me in covering my Cymbalta subscription, prescription, not subscription. Just to make sure that I don't
Subscribe to Cymbalta Plus.
Yeah, they're making sure that I don't pop off on some of you motherfuckers as much as I want to. So they're nerfing me as a gift, free of charge. So Disney's covering my health care. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I do. Out of joke, I just love the whole like. Some guy was like, "So do you get your chill check and fucking as a preloaded credit card? Or are they cutting you a check or whatever?" I felt like being like, "Motherfucker, they give it to me in crumpled up ones, and I leave it on your mother's nightstand. Like, what do you?
I
What do you
knew
want me
that
to?
was going to. I fuck your mom.
Like,
I
what do you?
felt
Where do
it
you
in my
want me?
bones.
Where do you want me to go with this? Like, we could go back to middle school and just start being like your mom. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
and you know what? Maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
Maybe Yo Mama was the 1800s dual format, and canceling that show, we lost our dignity. I don't know, but
Just
Well,
tell
that
someone
does
their mom
take
is
us-
gay and then mute the tweet.
Yeah. What would I
We-
do with my check?
I love how
And
that
just
does
put it
also
away. I don't know.
address Cooper, Nerd Herder podcast, friend of the show, who asked a question: where do you get the audacity, or is it just delusion? Yes.
I'm Puerto Rican.
Sure.
And then one
Yeah,
last
Montana's Best of Both Worlds starts playing.
one. And then one last question presented in picture form from the lovely Miss Taylor. Yord tonight? Yord tonight, Queen? Yord tonight? Anyway.
Your tonight, the answer is
Indeed.
I
Hopefully.
guess, yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I want Yord tonight. But yeah, that's the end of our show. Alden, I'll let you get going while I finish out the pluggables. So tell the lovely people where they can find you and what you do, dear friend.
Look, it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Based.
Except the stuff that Jared's gonna plug. None of this matters. You can find me right there or right there. I can't remember if it's mirroring me or not. So I'll do it both
That one's
ways.
right.
This one's right.
Yes.
That's
right
dumb.
there.
So it's mirroring me, so it's right there.
Yeah, I felt that. I do
You
that
can
every
find
time.
me at that Alden Diaz, THATALDNDIZ. I host other shows. You can find them there. Just go to therapy. I mean it. Seriously. And yeah. Live your life.
Based.
I don't want to plug
Hell yeah.
anything anymore.
Absolutely based.
Two of the things
Cisco-
I do, Jared is in, so he can plug them.
That's true. And the things that I'm not in, Anytime with Ken and Alden and Ahch-To Radio are two of my favorite things to listen to.
He
Anytime is
interviewed Ryan Johnson. Check
Yes.
it out.
go watch that.
The uncut version.
Yes, the Diaz cut. I knew whenever Anytime with Ken and Alden was coming that it was a project that I was going to enjoy because I love Ken's work. Alden is one of my closest friends, despite what Twitter and Epic Confrontations might make you think. Despite what Alden might make me think.
I keep you on your toes.
You do. You really do.
right. My fucker.
Bye.
Goodbye, Connor. Goodbye, Kason.
Later
Goodbye,
on.
sir.
Esteemed
Yeah.
gentlemen and
It's been an honor.
this guy. Yeah. Work on your game, Jared. Good night.
Good night. But no, I knew it was a project I was going to enjoy. I was not prepared for how unabashedly I love that program, regardless of the fact that I am a big fan of one of them already and a close friend of the other. So go watch Anytime. Go listen to Ahch-To Radio. Go do all those things. Kason.
Yes.
Or no, you have to ask me where. Connor, where can the lovely people find you?
Here, duh. Also, I co-host over at.
Here, duh.
Yeah. I also co-host over at For the Republic, a Star Wars podcast where we talk Star Wars. We mainly cover the TV shows. If all the new shows weren't coming out right now, we would be covering the Clone Wars 2008 show, which has been a hoot. I really love covering that show and sort of looking at it retrospectively with both in terms of all the added new canon, new lore stuff we've gotten and new perspectives, and just more so watching it now as an adult as opposed to when I was like a kid in middle school when it first came out, which is just wild to think about. Anyway, you can find that. You can find us over at For the Repub Pod on Twitter. And you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. So I also co-host and co-write questions for Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Confrontations. You can find all of our past and future matches over at the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel. And you can follow us on Twitter at In a Galaxy Trivia. You can find me down there at Devin Banana, because that's where I just talk Star Wars, but mainly about this guy, Phillies legend, Bryce Harper, because he's doing good right now.
Shouts out.
Shout out Bryce Harper. He's definitely not listening to this, but like, he's doing good right now. It'd
be cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
I need to bring up, because you said Epic Confrontations, and at that exact moment, I got a text message from Eli that I'm going to read aloud in its entirety on air. Broke, you stuck-up, scruffy-looking nerf herder. Woke, if you die in a hole, I won't be there. Bespoke, why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. These are the text messages I get from Eli apropos of fucking nothing.
That sounds that sounds
I love
accurate.
That kid's a funny little bastard. Let me tell you, that kid, that kid's a funny motherfucker.
So I'm not gonna lie, I just remembered I was playing Lego Skywalker Saga. I'm gonna make this real quick. I was playing Lego Skywalker Saga, and there's a mission that you have to do with Salacious Crumb, and the voice actor kind of sounds like Eli.
Based.
Like, especially over the comm.
Casey, where can the lovely people find you, buddy?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CraveBreezy. I also manage a band. Their links are in my bio. It's lovely, but hard to pronounce, hard to spell, all that yada yada. You can find me here most of the time. Schedule's been wonky recently, as I stated at the beginning of the episode, but should be getting back to somewhat normalcy soon.
Hey, that's the Nerd Academy way, baby.
Yes, sir.
His schedules make everything impossible versus series coming back soon, I promise.
Jared.
Yeah.
Where?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy Fuck. Let's try that again. Thor, Thuff, and Lunder. You guys can find
Academy podcast.
The Academy. You guys can find the Nerd Academy Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling, or where if you'd like to get your hands on some TNAT merch, you can go on over to that student store link on our website. There it is.
tpublic.com.
Y'all, get the Cookie Cop shirt.
I need to get one.
Get the Cookie Cop shirt. The Cookie Cop vintage tee. I am deeply proud of this.
It's very good. I like it a lot.
I need everybody to take it in. And here's my favorite part.
Yeah, 4 hours and 42 minutes left. Oh, just kidding. That's not by the time this comes out. That's going to be over by the time this comes out.
I know. Well, it's actually a new design, so you will actually have a little bit for it to still be on sale.
Ah, okay.
You can they offer a boxy t-shirt option.
Oh.
So you can go full vintage with this and get this on a boxy t-shirt with my shoddily designed like athlete power stance Cookie Cop shirt. And be cool like Spencer Simpson. And already have one. Be cool like Spencer Simpson is a sentence you don't get to say very often.
But boy, do we love it when we get to.
And if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Hey, give me $1.
You go over patrons. I'm going to skip the clips tonight because I'm tired. Thank you to Paco, Keandre Lloyd, and Ray Clausen, who asked that you donate to Equality Texas to help keep queer kids safe in the Lone Star State, especially during this Pride Month that we are in. Speaking of Pride, I didn't mention this in the last episode. Thank you to Dork Side of the Force for including not just the Nerd Academy podcast, but Ionized Bastards on their list of queer Star Wars content creators to support. So thank you to you guys. I neglected to mention that last week. We got caught up in our conversation about lesbian witches. But be sure to join us next week. We'll be talking about the next episode. I'm not going to set anything in stone, but maybe tune in around 9 p.m. on Thursday at a certain YouTube channel. We might be staying Bombad. We're not sure yet, but I might be on Bombad next week, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. Pro and Noob podcast with myself and Mitch692. Where we're watching Neon Genesis Evangelion. Epic Confrontations we talked about. Ionized Bastards. We're wrapping up season 2 here. We are recording next Monday. Thank the fucking Lord. I need it. Actually, let's find out if we're recording next week. I'm going to roll my D20. The die will decide whether or not we record next week. It's a nat 1. Never mind. Connor fucking lost his shit.
No way. Oh my God.
The delivery of that is a nat 1.
Like, that is just, you can't script that.
Oh, fuck me. That's how I've been rolling.
Incredible.
That's how I've been rolling these last couple episodes. I joked about it last week. I need to next time we level up, Fabian Martel needs to take some more defensive abilities. Because I've been really good at when we enter combat, there being an obvious target that needs to be taken out as soon as possible. And I've been really good at rushing that enemy down and beating the absolute daylights out of them. The issue we've been running into is that in doing so, not the target I'm going after, but other fucking people start wailing on me. So, like, we fought that cyborg Acolyte. Well, there was only one person to fight in that one, but we fought this cyborg Acolyte. I was beating the dog shit out of it. I fucked that Acolyte up, and then it bit me, and I lost half of my fucking health in the process. No fun. I had to go after the Death Chemist, and while I'm tearing up the Death Chemist like it's nobody's business, what's happening? I'm being riddled with blaster bolts by security droids. It's not a great time to be Fabian Martel. But check that out. We're recording our penultimate episode of season 2 on Monday at time of record. So check all of those things out. I think that's all. So yeah, thank you all so very much for joining. Oh, and Monday we should also have a new episode of TNAT Proper, talking about some news and talking about the first 4 episodes of The Boys season 4. Very excited for that. One of my favorite shows of all time. I am eating good TV wise. But thank you all so very much for joining us. I keep fucking it up. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We are honored that you have joined us. May the Force be with you always and for light and life.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
Look at him. He's telling you to buy the damn shirt. He's telling you to buy the damn shirt. Step away from the cookie jar means step away from the cookie jar, get on TeePublic, type in teepublic.com/user/Nerd Academy podcast or do a Nerd Academy student store and then buy the vintage Cookie Cop shirt. I'm shilling.